disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
Wait.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're heavy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're heavy because you got nothing.
Lobito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Welcome everybody to another Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's your good friend Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad. That's right, sure I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a fantastic one for you as we return to talk about some of the big fights coming up this Saturday, some of the peculiar fights and events taking place, a rivalry, of course, ongoing between different sports, a lot of hoopla on Twitter, as always. Boxers just love to jaw back and forth as opposed to actually fighting each other in the ring. But be that as it may, we're going to be covering all of that plus more. So stay tuned for that. Near the end of the hour, we'll be opening up the phone line so you guys can call in and give us your thoughts on everything going on in boxing. But before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature. Although it's better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. We also have a Patreon page for as low as $2 per month. You can help fund our independent, hard-hitting documentaries. Volume 2 of Boxing's Most Shocking and Obscure Moments. Volume 2 coming up very, very soon. Also check out BDA Live. I'm going to be posting some videos there as well. I am working on Anderson Aldo's video of Devin Haney's dirty tactics. Very dirty tactics. So we're going to be focusing on that as well on that channel. I'm going to be doing some videos on Beterbiev Bivol, and Official Scorecard also told me he's going to be doing videos on that, so I'm looking forward to those. So stay tuned for that over at BDA Clips, or secondary channel. I'm going to put the link later on here. What else was I going to say? Don't forget also you can check us out on iTunes, Spreaker, and Spotify at your leisure. All right, fellas? And let's not forget everybody in the chat here. I'm talking about J.A., the Canman, Nightmurph. Shout out to Nightmurph, one of the initiated. Alfredo Contreras, the aforementioned official scorecard boxing. It goes by Steph K now. That sounds like a porn name. Round 1, Buddy Lee, Mark T, Bray, Anthony Lopez, that Gucci Berserk, Quick Sloth, Quentin Lassiter. We were talking with him yesterday in the voice chat over the Second Renaissance. Shout out to him. Sam Randolph, Frankie Sainz, another one of the initiated. The Quags, another one of the initiated. Rafael Garza, another initiated, an anointed one. 2 Matador, Rampax Trucking Company, another of the anointed ones. 10-4. Abel, OG Blaze. I think that's Furioso, Bristol, the GOAT. Shout out to him. Haven't seen him in a while. Ed Dog, who says live in 69 minutes. That's pretty gay, man. Well, I don't control the time. What do you think I am, God? What's the matter with him? And that's about it. Many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, let's start cooking with a little hot grease here. Let's turn the stove on because we have the face of boxing fighting, and I should say one of the faces of boxing, because other than him and Joshua, there's not many other fighters that can move the needle as much as these two guys. However, there's a little point of contention here that this fight, there's a lot of narratives going on with this fight. The fact that it's going up against the UFC, the fact that they have the Sphere, which, by the way, that's a bizarre thing to me when they go, well, we have this MMA card, in UFC, and it's taking place at the Sphere. And I'm thinking, why do I care where it's taking place? I mean, if I'm watching it at home, I don't care where it's taking place. And second of all, even if let's say I was in Vegas and somebody goes, hey, you want to go to the UFC card? And I go, I don't know. Hey, it's at the Sphere. Oh, okay, I'm going to this. Well, what's the point? Besides, that structure looks satanic to me. And I'm not going to get into the whole delineation or differentiation of what satanic means, because a lot of people misuse that term. But just be confident in knowing that I do know how to use that term. And that's what that structure looks like to me. Satanic. Sick shit. I don't like it. I don't go for that type of stuff. What else? I'm buying time here because I'm inviting people. But so that's a big narrative. It's UFC versus boxing, Canelo versus... And then there's the other thing, because Oscar De La Hoya just had to open his mouth. He's trying to... I'm really disliking what De La Hoya is doing nowadays, where he's trying to play up the angle of, yeah, I'm crazy, baby. I'm crazy, which you can't do that if you're in rehabilitation. If you're an addict and you're working the program for the rest of your life, you can't try to pretend and act like, oh, hey, I'm unhinged, guys, but I'm unhinged, but I'm the good type of unhinged, like your uncle, your healthy uncle, or your well-natured teacher, the one that everyone likes. No, fuck that. You can't do that. And by the way, a lot of those well-natured teachers that, the one that everybody loved, then it turns out that, 20 years later, you go back to high school reunion and you find out the guy was arrested for trying to bang one of the students. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm a little trepidatious about what Del Hoy is doing. Now he's doing these shout-outs or whatever he calls them every Thursday. Clapback Thursdays, I think that's what he calls them, where he starts going after everybody. And I'm thinking, Oscar, you have your money. You have your company, which you managed to rebuild thanks to a lot of competent people after that exodus of fighters that went over to the PBC. Why don't you take it easy? So he's trying to play up the angle of, hey, I hate Canelo. That's what he's always saying. I hate Canelo. He's fighting these mismatches, which I don't disagree with him in large part. So then he goes, I'm going to go over to the UFC on Saturday. I'm going to go to the UFC. And then Dana White's like, well, I don't know where he thinks he's going to take us from. I'm not giving it to him. Fuck him. So De La Hoya is doing a big mistake here. He's made enemies on all fronts. He's made an enemy with Canelo and Dana White. And in Canelo and Dana White don't have any beef. This is just business between each other. Competitive business practices going at each other. Whereas De La Hoya now is stuck between those two guys who really hate him. They really dislike him. And this whole thing of trying to be the irreverent, what's the word I'm looking for here? Extravagant guy who, hey, I'm not on coke, but I might be. Hey, you can't have it both ways, Oscar. Stick to the promotional aspect. Let the Canelo thing go. It's over. All right? He's looking a little jaded, like a jaded girlfriend. I see we got Chief jumping in here. Chief, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Hope you're doing fantastic as well. I'm just talking about this, the big narrative. And it's never a good thing when you're talking about a matchup when the biggest story is not the Canelo versus Berlanga thing, but it's actually Canelo versus the UFC. What do you think about that? And do you think Berlanga can pull it off in any way?
Can Berlanga pull it off with Canelo at this stage? I don't think Canelo's slipping as much as he's learning how to use his wisdom of knowing when to pace himself like he did against Munguia. He let Munguia take the lead, but even though Munguia was taking a lead, Canelo was never out of control of the fight. If Canelo ever lets a person take a lead to where they're in control of the fight, where he's not in it, within punching range, stalking someone down, making them overexert themselves, things of that nature, he's got a problem. I haven't seen that from him yet. And therefore, I don't think that Berlanga's got a realistic chance of... He may look good, but for a few rounds, I don't see him winning.
Right. And
now, the whole... go ahead.
No, sorry. I thought you were done.
No, the whole thing about Canelo versus the UFC, which is kind of... De La Hoya used to do the same thing. Dana White once said, if you want to be successful... Just remember one thing. Never go against Oscar De La Hoya. If De La Hoya is fighting, you don't have a fight that night. Those were his words back in the day when De La Hoya was an active fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever their level of respect is now, Dana did have a respect for him for being an attraction at one point in time because, like I said, those were his words. He did not want to put on an event. If Oscar De La Hoya was fighting, he was like, nope, we'll do another night. The rest of this banter, people talk, and they don't always mean half the things they say. So that's just tabloid drama. I don't have time for that. So I don't really care.
All right.
I don't think there's much to it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And you know what? In terms of the Berlanga shot, this is a channel where we always try to give the underdog a chance. We always try to analyze the fight itself and look in a parallel dimension to see what the other guy, the underdog, can do to pull off the win. And I gotta tell you, I'm not a boxing genius. I'm not a guru, whatever. But we've called our share of upsets before here. Not all of us at the same time, but some of us independently have. Gonzalo remembers one of the guys that predicted Luis was going to stop Joshua. So we can sort of know what we're talking about. In this one, I'm scratching my head to the point where I'm peeling off the skin, trying to find a way in which Berlanga pulls it off. It would have to be, other than a one-punch knockout, or a situation where he wobbles Canelo and then the follow-up barrage leads the referee to wave it off. Other than that, I can only imagine Canelo sort of being at a 50% level where he gasses out badly and just plays defense and allows Berlanga to outwork him. Maybe Berlanga hurts him twice during the fight, and that's enough to, 10-8 rounds, something like that, and that's enough to sway the judges. But other than that, it's a long shot. I mean, I remember I was telling people Madrimov, or as Amok calls him, Mad Rimjob, he has a very good chance of beating Crawford. Very good chance. That was a very close fight going in for me. And it almost happened, right? In this one, I don't see that. But then again, upsets are upsets because very few people saw them coming. I mean, look at Julio Cesar Chavez's career. 90-something fights undefeated. You didn't expect Frankie Randall to beat him. And yet he did. So, anything can happen. But what does logic and the actual film tell you about that?
Well, logic in the film wouldn't. The example you just gave, logic in the film wouldn't have pointed to Frankie Randall winning either, even with his previous win over Edwin Rosario, which that was an avenge win, by the way, because Rosario had beaten him prior to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing in the film for that situation to predict that upset would have happened. Like you said, the reason why I call it upsets is because nobody sees it coming. Canelo's been doing this long enough that unless he takes Berlanga so lightly that he's not in good enough shape and he just thinks he can go through the motions and not be prepared, then maybe, like you said, there could be an upset. I do think that he thinks this is an easy fight. I do think he thinks that he may have to work a little bit, but this guy's not in his league, so I'm fighting a guy below me, therefore I have the win in the bag. I just have to go do it now. Not arrogantly to where he doesn't have to train, but arrogantly to the point to where he doesn't see what this guy can do to beat him. That's about all I got on that one.
I mean, the other story here is this fight is deemed such a sure thing for Canelo that people are now saying, well, it's not about whether he wins, it's about how he wins. And I remember saying something similar before the Munguia fight, and I want to get to that in a couple of seconds here. But before that, shout out to Jay Nels for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, me and the boys pitch in, so it's not expensive. Canelo fight weekend is our excuse to get together, grill meats, drink beers, and hang out. Well, shout out to you, Jay Nels. Hope you have a good time. I don't know if you're of Mexican descent, but it is Mexican Independence Weekend. So this event is hinging on that, as almost all of Canelo's events. So it's a good excuse to get together. Maybe we get to see Canelo score a knockout, which is always fun. But that's really the point here, because prior to the Munguia fight, I remember thinking, okay, this is preparation for a Benavides fight. He's fighting an aggressive, younger, bigger guy who's going to bring it. I think this is good preparation. But I did expect Canelo to stop Munguia. He didn't do it. Come to find out, a couple of weeks ago or days ago, he did an interview where they asked him, hey, did you carry Munguia? Because that was a storyline after the fight, that some people said that he carried Munguia. And Canelo said, and I was aghast when I heard this, in disbelief, he said, yeah, I carried him because I like fighting. I like being in that ring. So there were times where I could have finished him, but I didn't. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I'm not paying for you to carry your opponents. I'm paying for you to finish these guys. I want to see a finish. And a fighter wants to see a knockout on the record. So that just struck me as Canelo just, again, people take what he says seriously too much. Like when he says, I want 100 mil to fight Benavidez, and people believe him. Then when he says he wants to fight Benavidez, they go, nah, he's lying. So believe me, take what he says with a grain of salt. He doesn't need 100 mil to fight Benavidez. He's not asking for that. He's not demanding that. He's just talking shit. And I think it's the same thing in this scenario. Like, Chief, what do you think? You think a fighter actually wants to carry his opponent?
The only time I've noticed guys wanting to carry their opponent is when they knew they were going to beat them and they wanted to administer a beating. Like what Chavez did to Greg Haugen, what Duran did to Esteban de Jesus. Guys like they wanted to do that. I don't believe Trinidad and Vargas was quite that scenario. I think Vargas did show up that night. Trinidad was just better. But yeah, you'll find every once in a while the guy will, staggering out of the head. Then they'll do the meat hooks to keep them on their feet and start hitting the hips, and it's a thorough beating. Like they really want to beat on their opponent. That is not what was happening with Canelo and Munguia. Now, that's not to say that Canelo didn't think he had it in the bag the whole time, and he was pacing the guy and walking him down, and he didn't have a game plan in his head, and he stuck to the game plan well. He did leave up to interpretation especially for Canelo haters, that you're missing a step because this guy Munguia was really competitive with you. Some people may have had it 7-5, some people may have had it 8-4 or 9-3. I don't know what everyone's particular scores were, but it was a competitive fight, even in the rounds that Canelo was winning. But, like Canelo says, I like to fight. Okay, if we're taking him at that word, then he wanted to, go as many rounds as he could because he enjoyed what he was doing in there. I don't buy all of that, but I don't believe he sensed that he had the opportunity to knock Munguia. I don't think he sensed that Munguia weakened enough to where he could finish him. Therefore, he just continued to beat on him once he stepped up the tempo. He let Munguia go early. Let Munguia show his openings, show when he overreaches, show when he's off balance. And then he started to capitalize that after a couple rounds. And after that happened, he knew he had the fight in the bag. I think if he would have felt that he had the power to knock Munguia out, like he hit him with a shot that really would have buckled his knees and he would have finished him off. I don't think he ever got the feeling that he had Munguia hurt that badly. So instead of picking up the pressure, he just enjoyed himself and had a competitive fight.
Well, first of all, you got to watch out what you say, because you said something about, he buckled his knees, he found the opening. And I mentioned that because people are pointing out the fact that I said that I wanted to see Canelo finish him. And right from there, people took that to mean Mr. BDA wants to see guys finish each other off. And I mean, come on. This is why, you know what? I'm thinking we never should have returned. We should have stayed on hiatus indefinitely, because of some of the things people are coming up with. I mean, come on, man. I don't know what you guys are up to there, but no, but it is. Look, listen, fighters want to see or want to have TKOs or stoppages on their records. They don't want to, decision, because that's what's going on with Canelo, man. Golovkin, 12-round decision. Ryder, 12-round decision. Charlo, 12-round decision. Now Munguia, 12-round decision. I'm thinking, come on, man. This is what's going on with Canelo in his last 4 fights or 3 fights. Ryder, Charlo, and Munguia drops these guys early, and then they get on the defensive. They start running around, or they just cover up, and he just comes in with a sledgehammer at a time. One sledgehammer, and it's repetitive. The fights that are deemed boring are usually deemed boring because they're uneventful. In other words, if they're repetitive. Think Pernell Whitaker. One of the reasons why Pernell Whitaker or Winky Wright or Shakur Stevenson are considered boring is because every round looks the same, pretty much. There's no distinction. There's no drama. There's no wearing the other guy. You see, I got to watch what I'm saying here. They're not their opponent is not incurring any damage to the point where you're thinking, okay, here comes a stoppage. There's none of that. And that's what Canelo fights are starting to turn into. They're starting to turn into same old, same old. He comes in, drops a guy early, and then just jackhammers him. That's right, jackhammer. Make fun of that one, you dirty fucks. And just, and it's repetitive. And
just
so,
as you say, watch what you say. You use
mean, listen. I'm not going to walk on eggshells anymore. But what do you think, Chief? I mean, does he need to go for the knockout here? Is it going to look bad if Berlanga goes at 12 rounds?
Well,
let's look at the end of Bernard Hopkins' career. How many knockouts did he get after he left middleweight?
Mm-hmm.
And no one, Manny Pacquiao after which fight was it? I guess the Cotto fight, because he went the distance with Clottey. Then pretty much any time after the Margarito fight, I don't think there was a single knockout. Let me rephrase. I'm sorry. There was the Batiste fight, but just about everything else went the distance. Some fighters just, and then later in their years, they I don't know what it is, where it's not the power. Maybe it's their accuracy. Maybe they can't pull the trigger the right way. Maybe they can't counter their opponent with a shot they don't see, which is really what puts them in trouble.
That's what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're saying they can't get it up, is what you're saying.
I didn't say get it up.
Nah, I mean, well, that's what the people in the chat are going to say, so might as well just say it.
But my point is the fact that for some that many fighters went on long streaks of no knockouts late in their career, and Canelo is, especially since he turned pro so young, late in his career. He may be 33, 34, but he's got 60 plus fights, and he turned pro as a child. He's fighting grown men as a child. Mm-hmm. This takes a toll. So even though he may be like just outside the physical peak, yeah, take that one as you want it. He's still like no longer like at that very pinnacle, and so he may go the rest of his career without a knockout. Like I said, Hopkins did too. Same with Manny. Some fighters go on that route. They're still winning, and they're still winning. When I say impressively, most of those wins from the latter fighters I mentioned were not competitive. Bernard won his fights rather easily, the ones that he did win. Many of the fights that he did win, he won them rather easily. Canelo did not win overly easily against Munguia, but he was never not in control of that fight, like I said before. So if this fight goes the distance, am I going to be disappointed? Probably, because I don't think Berlanga's on Canelo's level. So Canelo should be able to apply the pressure and knock him out. Is he going to do it? I doubt it. If you really look at him at the world-class level, about the guys that he's peers with, he doesn't knock them out. I won't say he never has, because someone's going to find that one dime that I forgot that I dropped on the ground. Becomes, hey, look here, you forgot about this one. Yeah, okay, maybe. But look, Jacobs, Triple G, Ryder is not even on his level. Charlo's several weight classes below, but was on the upper echelon of guys in his division, and some people were trying to build him up to be a little bit better than he was at that stage. Point being, he was tall, close to his peak, and Canelo didn't finish him. He could hurt him, but he couldn't. I don't know if he couldn't, but he didn't. And I just don't know if he really cares about finishing people anymore. I think he enjoys beating on them more, and that's why he doesn't turn the pressure up, because he'd just rather just beat on him and get the victory.
I mean, I want to see stoppages. That's what I want to see. I'm not paying to watch
I agree,
Canelo.
but we're not Canelo. He doesn't.
How do you know?
We don't think for him.
Well, how do you know? Maybe I should be thinking for him. Maybe that's his problem right now. That's why his career is stagnating, because he needs someone else to think for him. But look, listen, I understand what you're saying, but I do want to see stoppages. At least beat the crap out of this dude. Bust him up, man, because, he did it to Ryder. He had that dude bleeding all over the place. Charlo and Munguia, they didn't seem all that beat up, especially Charlo, who ran around the ring like a rabbit, really afraid of engaging with Canelo. That's what he does to them. But see, that's the thing. The difference between Golovkin and Canelo is Golovkin would have these guys running, but he would actually corner them. Canelo's content to, once he corners them, one sledgehammer to the arm. And then he lets them get away. And then he goes, okay, go back to the corner, another 20 seconds to get them in a corner, and then one shot again. And I'm like I said, that to me, that's uneventful. It's boring. If it were leading to stoppage wins, okay, then I'd be happy, but it's not. So he needs to step it up, man.
It's not because he's not putting additional work in. I have a feeling those right hands that he lands, they hurt. They physically hurt. They add up. But he's not jabbing to the chest to try and make their breathing a little harder. He's not hitting the body very much. Like, definitely not doing the stereotypical, Mexican left hook to the liver. And with his power that everyone thinks that he has, I'm not saying he doesn't, but his physical strength and everything else like that, he should be able, with a couple of liver shots each round, be able to do accumulated punishment to finish some of these lesser guys off. For some reason, he doesn't like to do it. He really loves to throw the right hand. He really likes to get in close. He'll throw some jabs here and there. You notice that he doesn't jab. Okay, when I said use jabs and doesn't jab, sounds contradictory. With the way Trinidad would throw the jab, he would use it, but it wasn't to set everything up. It was, you left an opening for me to land one of my hard punches, and I'm going to throw that jab as hard as I can and almost make your neck pop. Canelo does the same thing. Whereas, Ray Leonard and guys like that, they would double, triple the jab, and it would sting, and it would set the opponents off. It's kind of like what the sparring partner said about Evander Holyfield. He wasn't strong at all, but he hit you so many punches. When people jab like that, and it's getting through and hitting your head, it disrupts your timing, your thinking, and everything else. Canelo doesn't use a jab like that. He uses it like a power punch.
Yeah, that's
one
a
at a
good
time.
point. That's a good point right there. And then, those punches evidently hurt, but he's letting it, his work rate allows guys to slip away and go the distance. Shout out to Rapback Trucking Company for his contribution with the super chat. He says, is it double entendre or is it mind in the gutter? Well, that's an age-old question right there, Rapback Trucking Company. The double entendre can be well done if it's done with a certain amount of restraint. But when you're overdoing it, it's mind in the gutter. And I dare say a lot of people in the chat have their minds no, it's not that their minds are in the gutter. They are the gutter. How about that? Speaking of gutter, I'm not going to blame our audience.
Way to speak to our fans that way. That's
well. Now listen. I'm not going to blame them though. Here's the thing. Here's a caveat. I'm not going to blame them for thinking that way, because I do believe propaganda and mass media and mass communication has a wide berth of reach from which to mold people's minds. And I blame the build up to this fight. Check this out. This is why their minds are in the gutter, because of this stuff. Well, I know you can see, Chief, but if you watch the screen, you probably...
I'll have to go turn the TV on.
I mean, come on, man. That type of stuff. See, I like press conferences where they go out a little bit, a little trash talking. Never hurts anybody. Helps the pay-per-view, helps sell the fight. But this is a whole other level of depravity right here. And I think that's why people in the chat, their minds are in a dark, deep, dark place. And we need the Lord to come in here and shine a light and drive away the darkness. That's what I think. No, it's not what I think. It's what I know. Be that as it may, this fight does need a little selling, that's for sure. And I tell you what, that the undercard doesn't help. We're going to be talking about that very, very soon. But I want to just stick to the whole Berlanga thing here for a minute. I was rewatching the Angulo fight from about 2 years ago. That was a fight that convinced Top Rank to let this guy go. I'm talking about Romero Alexis Angulo, 38-year-old guy, heavy-handed but old, and Berlanga was moving around the ring, trying to run him into something, which I can understand. What I cannot understand is how that fight went 12 rounds. Because you see the difference between a Berlanga guy and a David Benavidez. How did David Benavidez beat Angulo? He put the pace on him, a young man's pace, and said, you are not keeping up with me because you are older. And not only are you older and I'm younger and I'm better than you. How about that? Boom, 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 boom. Stop the guy. Berlanga was running around the ring, moving, trying to catch him with something, and he was getting caught. And Angulo has similar style to Canelo. Hands up, like superior, a lot of jabs. One punch at a time here or there. But he managed to be economical with his output and sharp with it. He landed a bunch of shots on Berlanga. And one of the shots that he was landing often was an uppercut. But every fighter, every boxer has their safe space. Somewhere where they go after they punch, or when they're caught off guard and they need somewhere to go to rest. And Berlanga's go-to safe space is either ducking down in a straight line or ducking to his right. And he's wide open for uppercuts. And from his end, he's a boxer-puncher. Both Canelo and Berlanga actually have similar outputs and rhythms. They're boxer-punchers. They like to take their time. They'd rather counter-punch than go and get the other guy. So if Berlanga plays that game with Canelo, and Canelo is older, Canelo's going to be perfect. This is the pace that I want to fight at, because I'm going to be throwing you off kilter with my feints, and then when you try to come at me, my defense is superior to yours, so good luck catching me. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm Very hesitant to give Berlanga a chance. I know it's boxing, and again, he's a big dude. I keep putting up this picture here of their face-off. Berlanga's a big dude, man, and it's understandable that Canelo, he's a shorter guy for the super middleweight division, but usually he's shorter but bulky, like a tank. Berlanga looks taller than him and just as bulky as he does. So this dude is evidently heavy-handed. We know that, even though he hasn't scored that many knockouts ever since he stepped up in competition. But one of the things that was worrying me going to the Canelo-Munguia fight, or worrying me for Canelo, was if you get into an exchange with Munguia, this is what I was thinking. If you get into an exchange with Munguia and he catches you on the temple, he has the type of power that he can hurt you if he hits you in the front or on the temples. Never really happened. He caught Canelo with some good shots, but Canelo took him. I think Berlanga has a similar shot that if he lands on top of Canelo's big dome, because that's what Canelo does, by the way. He likes to block shots on the chin. He has that telephone glove, like the telephone. He's got it pinned to his right, the right glove pinned to the chin, and then the right hand too. He'll bring it back when his opponent gets too close, but he leaves his temples open because he's confident that he can take away the punches with his head movement. But if he gets into an exchange with Berlanga, so my thing is, if Canelo wants to surefire thing to beat Berlanga, don't get into an exchange with him. Soften him up, and then maybe later on you can go for the finish. But getting into an exchange with Berlanga, that's really the only shot Berlanga has. Chief, would you be surprised if Berlanga can compete from a long-range affair against Canelo? In a long-range affair, rather.
Yeah, somewhat. Mostly because even if he's got the height, the reach, and everything else, I've not noticed him, and I could be very wrong on this, but I've not noticed him to be overly accurate with like a lot of long-rangey shots. And Canelo's very good at head movement. My guess is Canelo's going to, if he stays outside, it's for the same reason he did against Munguia. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got to say something real quick, and I got to take a phone call. But so he'll do that, and then he'll do that he sees where Berlanga will overreach and overextend, and that's where he'll open up for the counter shots later, like he did with Munguia. I got to drop off for a minute. My friend will be right back.
Now, well, you can tell that person, whoever it is, that you're on a show. So
it's my wife. I'll call you back.
All right, don't worry about it.
I'll be back in a little bit.
Don't worry about it. Don't forget, fellas, to hit the like. It really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe if you had to do so already. And we are going to be opening up the phone lines in about half an hour, depending on how things go. So make sure to stay tuned for that and give us your thoughts on anything and everything boxing. I'm curious, though, more than anything, I'm curious about whether you think, what can Berlanga do to win this fight? Because evidently there's always a way to beat a guy, especially a 34 or 35-year-old. I forget how old Canelo is. A guy in his mid-30s like that, there's always a chance, especially if you're heavy-handed. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. How can he pull off an upset? And are you going to be purchasing this pay-per-view? Let's not mince words here. Pay-per-views are growing in abundance now. Despite the fact that we've now transitioned into the digital world, Internet 2.0, where we're dealing with applications, no longer relying on the network model. And yet, pay-per-views are as prevalent as ever, whether they're from the PBC, the Zone. We're getting at ESPN. We had, Lomachenko versus, what's his name? Devin Haney was pay-per-view. Shouldn't have been. And yet, it was. So, we are having this pay-per-view. Then, Joshua versus Dubois. I believe it's pay-per-view here, at least in my neck of the woods in Canada, North America. I think it's at the Zone pay-per-view. And then the Beterbiev Bivol is pay-per-view too. Which I'm glad to pay money for that one, but I'm just saying, the pay-per-view start accumulating. And I want to make something clear here. If I'm going to purchase this Canelo Berlanga fight, I'm going to do so under duress. All right? I want that on the record right now. I am buying it because I have to cover it, but I'm doing it under duress, and I got my arms folded, like a little kid that didn't get a lollipop. That's what I'm doing. I'm buying it, but I'm doing that gesture. I'm angry about it. I'm not happy about it. And that's about. I mean, listen. How much can I really tell you about Berlanga? I've seen people on other podcasts, other YouTube boxing community podcasts. There's about 2 or 3 people picking Berlanga, but some of the justifications that they give aren't really quite up to par. They just it's just a lot of surface level argumentations. Like, well, Canelo's old, Berlanga's underrated, and Canelo's going to be surprised. I'm thinking, okay, surprised by what? That, like, if you tell me the speed, the power, and you give me some examples, okay, but when you're Berlanga and you're struggling with Steve Rolls and Angulo, and it's not like those guys have never been like Lomachenko's never been dominated by anybody. I could understand if you go with some rationalization that's akin to that, but Angulo has been beaten before, better than Berlanga did to him. Zurdo Ramirez did it better, and Benavides did it way better. Whereas, and Steve Rolls, he lost to Golovkin, and then recently he got his ass knocked out by another fellow Canadian. Who was it? Hold on. Let me just check here. Was it Butler? Stephen Butler? Yes, that's right. Yeah, it was Stephen Butler. Yeah, a couple of months ago in March in Montreal. And so, so there's guys that do it much better. And then on top of that one of those Irish dudes that Berlanga beat, Demetrius Andrade of all people, knocked him out, and Berlanga couldn't. So there's way too many examples. If it would have been just one example, I was like, okay, but there's many examples of guys outdoing Berlanga. So it's difficult for me to envision. Again, maybe he will pull it off. But some of the arguments that I hear from the very few people picking Berlanga, again, very surface level, very ambiguous and vague arguments rather. Well, Berlanga is just better. Okay, younger. Okay, what's so is he gonna push the pace against Canelo and outwork him? Is that what you're saying? Canelo's old. He's lazy. Okay, but he still beat a young guy who did all those things that you're saying Berlanga's gonna do in Munguia. So. Well, no, Berlanga is better than Munguia. I will say Berlanga is more explosive than Munguia. But Munguia has better activity rate, a better activity rate. And even though he sucks at getting at guys that move, like that Irish dude, I forget his name, Dennis Hogan. And he was also struggling with another bald white guy a couple of years ago. He still managed to get the job done because he lets his hands go at the very least. And under Ferry Roach tutelage, he did seem to be improving his defense. Whereas Berlanga, I see an arrogance in him that indicates that he thinks everything's hunky-dory. I don't gotta change shit. You gotta change for me, motherfucker. That's the feeling I'm getting from him. His inner workings, the inner workings of his mind. If you were to go into his mind, it would probably be very combative. You don't tell me what to do. And it's no surprise. Listen, it's never a good thing when Top Rank, of all people, lets you go. They released this dude. And if you look at some of the guys that they've released, like Andy Ruiz, yeah, they make sense. Yeah, Berlanga's got talent. He's explosive. He's heavy-handed, and he knows what he's doing in there a little bit, boxing-wise. But he tends to freeze after taking one shot. Like I said, he tends to be predictable with his defense, and of course with his offense. And Canelo tends to throw people askew with his feints. The fact that he comes at you from all angles. Sometimes he'll, right hand to the body. Then he'll lead with the left hook to the body. Then before you know it, boom, he's leading upstairs. Then he's mixing in a couple of jabs here or there. Then a 1-2 straight down the pipe. And then back to hooks, which you can't really see. So, it's a hard sell. This fight is a hard sell, especially when you go to the undercard. Let's leave this main event aside for the moment. Let's take a look at the undercard. What an undercard, fellas. The return of Rolly Romero after the ass whooping he got from Isaac Cruz, taken on an unknown guy in Manuel Jaimes, 10-round junior welterweight showdown. The return of Stephen Fulton. I'm willing to watch Stephen Fulton. He's a guy that brings it. And he doesn't run when he boxes either. So that's pleasing to the eye as well. But he's fighting a guy, he's making a comeback after a year off, or more than a year off, from the Inoue loss. So, okay. But again, these... comeback fight for Rolly Romero and a comeback fight for Stephen Fulton. A comeback fight for Caleb Plant, who again has not fought since April 2023 when he lost to David Benavides. So fellas, that's 3 comeback fights in a row, and we gotta pay for those. We're subsidizing these guys' return to boxing. So, this isn't really pay-per-view worthy. Then, Erislandy Lara versus Danny Garcia. No comeback really, but I guess you could call it a comeback. Because neither guy has fought since Well, actually, Lara got a little fight last year, right? I believe when he took on the male stripper Zarafa, the Australian dude. I was surprised that he stopped him. So Lara can still crack. If anything, he can still crack. Danny Garcia is the guy that hasn't fought since 2022. He hasn't fought a top middleweight ever, and yet he's getting this. See, fellas, this is why when people bring up to me like, well, this guy fought 17 former world titleists or world champions, blah, blah, like the term champion nowadays is superfluous and has little meaning because anybody can be a champion nowadays. Let's look at the champignon.info here. just to illustrate. I know I've said it before, but you got the WBC, you got the WBO, you got the IBF, and you got the WBA. First of all, a couple of years ago, the WBA was considered a joke, but for some reason, boxing fans have gone along now with the grift that they are a legitimate organization. So if you go to, well, let's say, okay, let's go to light heavyweight. Beterbiev is a WBC champ. Benavides can also claim to be a champ too, because he's got the interim title, whatever that means. Beterbiev has got the WBO. People consider the WBO a legitimate belt. Then he's got the IBF. Then you got Bivol has a WBA as well. But guess what? Morel is a regular champion. So I guess, I suppose Bivol is the irregular champion or something. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the same division calling themselves champion. So please spare me the whole, it's for a championship, it's for a championship. But let's go with it. Let's say I concede to the fact that, these titles are meaningful and that they carry some weight and some respect. How is Danny Garcia getting a shot at that title when he hasn't fought in over 2 years? This is insanity to me. So again, you're paying for 3 undercard fights that are comebacks, and then on top of that, a 40-year-old guy taking on a guy who's never fought a meaningful middleweight in Danny Garcia, who hasn't fought in over 2 years. Guys, get some of your implementation, some of your tools out there, because you are going to see a lot of rust in this fight. We should call this fight the Rust Belt, because there is a lot of rust in here. Get some oil, get something to scrape this off, man. It ain't going to be pretty. Now, I mean, it's not going to be pretty. It might not be high level. It could be entertaining because, Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavides Jr., that was 2 guys who were, Charlo versus Jose Benavides Jr. was 2 guys shaking off the rust. And it was an exciting fight. It was entertaining, rather. But that's because both guys were so far gone that it made for a back and forth. Neither guy could move all that much, so they had to really stay in the middle of the ring, stationary, and punch each other. Danny Garcia, incidentally, also fought Jose Benavides Jr., and that was a fairly entertaining fight. But again, I'm not paying for guys to shake off the rust. The best case scenario here is that they make for entertaining competitive fights. But Caleb Plant versus Maga guy, the Trevor McCombie guy, I think Caleb Plant, if he's sharp, he should take this guy out of there. Fulton shoot outbox Castro, maybe even stop him, even though Fulton's not a big puncher. Especially this fight's at featherweight, by the way. Fulton's never fought and maybe he has fought at featherweight before, but for the most part, he was a super bantamweight, and he wasn't a big puncher there. Don't expect him to turn into Mike Tyson now. And Rollo Romero might get a knockout. You never know. But still, it's up to you, fellas. It's up to you to buy this fight. I got to buy it. I am indebted to you, fellas. I have to watch this fight in order to cover it for the show. But I repeat, I am doing so under duress. Okay? That's just the way it is, folks. I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm not going to complain about it either. I mean, I've done my share of complaining now. But that's where it ends. And I don't know. Now, the rumor is that the PBC supposedly is returning with more cards. There's a rumor out there that Tank is returning, Tank Davis, by the way, returning in November. And word around the bush is that it's going to be Jose Valenzuela. Ricky Funes cryptically said on Twitter that he's not going to tell you which fighter it is, but it's going to be a Robert Garcia fighter. So it could be why? Could it be? It can't be Murataya because he's got a fight penned on ESPN. So I think people are logically concluding that it's going to be Valenzuela. Real Talk Boxing says Robert said no. Well, Robert can say a lot of things. I don't know who's going to be really. And now I've seen a lot of Tank Davis fans go, because some people were complaining that, come on, how is he fighting Rayo, who's already been knocked out? And the Tank Davis fans were saying, come on, who else is there to fight? Shakur Stevenson already has a fight penned. Devin Haney is still shell-shocked from what happened to Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is suspended. Murataya has a fight penned, like I said. So who's it going to be? And I agree. Like, who is it going to be? There's not that many other top. I'd rather see him fight Edwin de los Santos. Hopefully that's the fight. I know some people on Twitter. That's the problem, though. With anybody can say anything on Twitter. It doesn't make it so. But I wish that it was Edwin de los Santos. That would be an interesting fight. Fighting a southpaw with power. But I don't know. I think they're going to go with Rayo. Real Talk says it might be Berenchik. Isaac Bermuda says Tank is going after Rayo. Of course, we will never see Tank fight someone elite. You're going to see him fight someone elite, but it's probably going to be way down the line. Minimum 2 years. Viral Chronicles goes, I hope it's Bam. Could you imagine? I wouldn't put it past the Tank Davis team to go for that. PSK says, isn't he fighting Lamont Roach? Well, that was the other guy that they were saying. They were saying Lamont Roach or Rayo Valenzuela. By the way, real quick, I was listening to Juan Manuel Marquez. Believe it or not, he was on the Eric Morales Barrera podcast, which, by the way, Barrera and Morales, I think they fell out again because there's some episodes where it's just Morales hosting, and then there's other episodes where it's just Barrera. They're no longer a team, so I think they fell out again. But be that as it may, Marquez actually made it onto the show, and it was a surprise because Morales and him have a lot of strife going. And Marquez had said about 16 years ago, he said that he and Barrera were not friends because friendship entails talking constantly, helping each other out, moving a couch. That to me is a litmus test. If you help me move, you're my friend. If I help you move, hopefully you consider me your friend because there's not a lot of people that do that for somebody else. So what I'm saying is I don't think Barrera ever helped Marquez move a couch or vice versa. However, they were quite friendly now. And the reason why I think there was some tension there was because Marquez beat Barrera. And Barrera, I remember he was a little abrasive after that loss because of the white scorecard. There was one white scorecard, and the fact that he actually scored a knockdown over Marquez, but it was missed by the fact that he actually hit Marquez when the guy was down. So that's his fault. But anyway, there was a little tension. So Marquez ends up in the podcast, and he said some interesting things in regards to the Mayweather fight. He said he goes into why he left Golden Boy and why he never went back to them once the contract ended after the Katsidis fight. And I said, oh, that's interesting. What happened? So he says that he felt that when he fought Juan Diaz in 2009, March, I believe, 2009, he felt that Golden Boy was really pushing for Diaz to be the winner, which is understandable. Listen, Juan Manuel Marquez at that time had just recently beat Joel Casamayor. People were still on the Barrera bandwagon as him being the biggest Mexican name out there. Marquez was already in his mid-30s. He wasn't considered exciting. Remember, 2 years earlier, he had just made it into the Golden Boy boat after Top Rank kicked him to the curb because he was being too abrasive and too combative about the money. And so I understand why they would have Golden Boy would push Juan Diaz more, the baby bull, more exciting fighter, younger, obviously. So that's where the strife began. And then he says, I forget who it was from Golden Boy. He says they came over to him and said, hey, afterwards, call out Mayweather. And so he said, okay, fine. He says he was cajoled into that fight. He was forced to move up from lightweight to welterweight. He just recently arrived to lightweight. Now, by the way, that Marquez could have still made featherweight. He never had a problem making featherweight. The only reason he jumped up to super featherweight and then later lightweight was because he was chasing Pacquiao. So by the time Mayweather returns, or is set to return, they talked him into it. And he, being the ultimate competitor, thought, well, I can beat this dude. And once I beat him, that earns me a shot at Pacquiao again, a third fight. And of course, that didn't happen. Then he says that, people forget, that fight was penned for May 2009, the Mayweather fight. All of a sudden, I forget what happened. Maybe somebody can remind me. But now they pushed it to September. Some people speculate that Mayweather was cycling. And I'm not talking about, recumbent bike cycling. I'm talking the other type, the juicing type. And so then that happens. Then the week of the fight, or I think the day of the weigh-in, Marquez says that one of the guys from Golden Boy comes to him with a contract. He said, we need you to sign this contract because the commission doesn't want this fight to be done at 140. Remember, the catchweight was 145. The commission doesn't want to sanction it at 145. They want it at 147. So Marquez's BS detector goes off right off the bat. He goes, wait a minute. Why wouldn't the commission want at 145? What's their deal? Turns out Mayweather couldn't make the weight. So Marquez said, BS. No, he says, no, this fight ain't happening unless I get something in return. And so that's when Mayweather had to pay him a bunch of money. And again, Marquez took it. He went along with the fight, but just a bunch of shenanigans going on with that fight. So that was interesting to hear. That's why he has a little bit of a distaste for Golden Boy Promotions because they never really appreciated him as a fighter, which is insane to me because if I remember when post the first Pacquiao fight, I remember thinking, yeah, this guy is better than Barrera. He's better than Morales. Yeah, that's what I remember thinking. Even when Morales beat Pacquiao, the way he beat Pacquiao, he took a lot of shots in that fight. Some people have speculated that that's the fight that took a lot out of Morales. Really, one of his last shining moments, until he took a break and ended up returning and actually ended up having a bit of a renaissance afterwards against Maidana and against Cano and even against Danny Garcia. That was a very close fight, fighting well above his weight, older, taking a younger power puncher. Morales almost won that fight. He was outboxing Garcia for long stretches of that fight. And then the rematch happened, whatever happened there. But Morales had a bit of a renaissance. But that first Pacquiao fight, man, that was a brutal war. And the way Marquez would compete against Pacquiao in all four fights, and no running, because remember, there were guys that could go 12 rounds against Pacquiao, guys like Barrera in the rematch. Bradley went 12 rounds a bunch of times, 3 times against Pacquiao. Mosley went 12 rounds. Those guys were running or keeping him turning. Marquez is one of the few guys that stood toe-to-toe with Pacquiao and made Pacquiao hesitate. Because of the counterpunching, because of the combination counterpunching, no one else has come close to be able to do what Marquez did with that counterpunching. Chocolatito Gonzalez comes close in terms of combination punching, but not in terms of countering with combinations. So, I mean, it was very interesting to listen to Marquez's insight. The big deal on Twitter was the fact that he actually also said that the Golden Boy apparently stiffed him out of money. Now, again, I don't know about that. That's between them. They got to get their auditors and lawyers together, figure that out. But for me, the most important thing or the most interesting thing was why he left Golden Boy. I never knew that he felt underappreciated by Golden Boy Promotions. Very interesting, which is insane because you got a jewel like Juan Manuel Marquez. I mean, that's insane. And by the way, that's the other thing is Barrera told Marquez that Barrera and Morales were at an event in Las Vegas and they met with Bob Arum and they were talking about Marquez and Bob Arum said, if I could work with Juan Manuel Marquez again or a fighter like him, I wouldn't hesitate. The guy is a consummate professional. He very little trouble. He always comes in shape, in weight, no drama. I mean, there was a drama where the reason why Juan Manuel Marquez fell out with Bob Arum in the first place was they came at him with a rematch for the Pacquiao fight, and they were actually going to pay Pacquiao more. And Marquez said, "Well, hold on, I'm the titleist. He had 2 titles at the time. I should be earning more." And he stuck to his guns. The fight didn't happen, and then Top Rank refused to bid for the Chris John fight. So Marquez had to go to Indonesia to fight the undefeated Chris John for $35,000. Can you believe that? That's what Marquez did, but he stuck to his principles. And at the end of the day, he ended up working with Top Rank again for the Pacquiao fights. And Bob Arum respected him, said, "Hey, this Mexican, he's a Mexican Jew. He's like me. He's a Mexican Jew, except, I'm not Mexican." I don't know. My Bob Arum impersonation is not on today. What can I tell you? I see we got Sobers coming in here. Sobers, are you there?
What's up, BDA?
What's up, man? Thank you for being on here. I mean, I said everything I needed to say about the Berlanga fight, the Berlanga-Canelo fight. What's your opinion on the fight?
Well, I was just watching the Grand Arrivals, right? That's why, I wasn't on earlier, but Berlanga is predicting. I actually saw Booty Loose in the crowd.
Oh, is that
Sent you a
right?
picture, dude.
Let me check it
I
out.
actually saw him. They hollered at him. They put the camera on him. I was like, damn, he's out here getting known. That's what's up. But I was gonna say, and also I was gonna say too about the Grand Arrivals. The next chick they went over to, she was about to pull her titties out, dude. She was so happy to see Canelo. It was kind of crazy, man.
All right, so here's this is the guy. Sober says this is booty juice. Look at that. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me, man. Wouldn't surprise me. There's nobody who talks about that much about one fighter can hate him that much. If you
you definitely have a Canelo tattoo, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. The worst is those people that get tattoos of athletes, and then the athlete looks nothing like them on the tattoo, rather. And you go, what the fuck? Now you're stuck with a shitty tattoo, man. What's the matter with you?
I heard Booty Juice Booty Juice has a tattoo of Canelo getting shot on his arm.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just saying. That's a rumor that's going around that it's a tattoo of Canelo and he's getting shot. You can see him like falling to the floor.
And in the tattoo, is it an image of Canelo in a car getting shot and his wife trying to get off the car while a Secret Service guy tries to figure out what's going on? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Back and to the left. All right, so sorry, Sobers. What were you saying?
So as far as the fight goes, Berlanga said he's going to knock out Canelo in 6 rounds because Canelo predicted he's going to knock him out in 8. So it seems like these guys are going to, the energy Berlanga's bringing, he seems like he's gonna try to knock Canelo out early. So I think he'll be dangerous for 3 or 4 rounds. And if he's fighting and he's swinging like I'm expecting him to, he'll get gassed, he'll get tired, and Canelo will take over and finish him before 8 rounds. That's how I see it.
You know what I think? I think Canelo's planning on something else swinging, if you know what I mean. Check this out. Hold on a second, that's not it. They're talking knockout apparently, right? I mean, I don't know what that press conference. Sobers, why can you? Okay, you made your prediction about the fight, or predicted something. What can we expect in the next press conference, the final press conference? Is someone going to?
Well, I expect Berlanga to come out in that, and he came out in a Call of Duty Ghost mask, like a balaclava, right?
Oh,
I expect to come out with that same mask, in the last press conference, but only like a white thong, and that's it. He came to he came to the first press conference with just with an outfit, and the second one he came with his shirt off.
Right.
Now
wait. Are you saying you're predicting or you're hoping he comes out like that?
Predicting. I'm just looking. I'm just seeing a pattern here. I'm just seeing the Puerto Rican pattern.
Oh, see now I gotta go in. Now I gotta go in. Now I'm gonna be delusional. I'm gonna be all delusional. Let's see how this works. I got my man Berlanga. 6 round. I say he's gonna pull it off. 6 round knockout.
There you go.
It's gonna happen.
That's what we
it's
call.
Gonna happen.
That's what we call Boricua hope.
So I want to ask, recognize. So who do you think he's gonna come out with, bro? The real question is: it gonna be Fat Joe or Daddy Yankee?
I think like a combination, man. It's gonna be Daddy Yankee and Fat Joe.
Damn.
But I'm gonna give you a little inside scoop on that little combination there. You see, I think Daddy Yankee's a Trump fan, and Fat Joe is a fucking shit lib, and he hates Trump. You got to hear him about how he goes on about Trump. So there might be a conflict of interest there.
Now,
you're gonna come out with Daddy Yankee. He's the ops.
They may just actually be exactly. Be friends despite their differences. Oh wait a minute, that's not reality.
If we're talking about coming out,
I'm just saying, don't be surprised if that's the plan, and Fat Joe's like, "Yo, listen, man, whatever, I'm down for you, Berlanga, but I can't support Daddy Yankee. He's a Trump fan. You know how he talks like a fat fucking.
He's a Trumper.
Yeah, he's a Trumpster. I can't fuck with him."
Now, you guys are talking about which singer Berlanga is going to come out to or with to the ring. And I guess the word coming out is very interesting because, again, he's a Puerto Rican. Those guys are Puerto Rican singers. What if he comes out with a Puerto Rican fighter, though? What if he comes out with the first openly gay boxer who happened to be Puerto Rican, Orlando Cruz? What about that, guys? Would you think, is that a message that he would be trying to send to Canelo? Break it down.
I mean, I don't know, man. But
he did tell Canelo the voy a sacar la mierda. So
I mean,
that's the outfit to do it in. You know what I mean?
That was funny.
I mean, listen, some people are saying, and again, this isn't to disparage Puerto Ricans, recognize, it's only jest, but the last time a Mexican knocked out a Puerto Rican, that Puerto Rican fighter ended up doing OnlyFans porn, getting his ass eaten out by another guy. So, I mean, I'm just saying. So, can we expect?
I mean, to be fair, that guy's half Dominican, so I don't really care. So whatever.
All right, there you go. That's what we're gonna go with. Half Dominican. He can't be claimed fully by the Puerto Ricans, so there's a bit of a leeway there. I got you. The other thing is, hey, by the way, I didn't know about this. Cepeda fought Red Catch a couple of days ago, and he knocked him out. He knocked Red Catch out. So don't be surprised if you see Red Catch in a little, Soviet porn, Commie Cox 4 or something like that, and then you see him on there. Why you would be seeing him in there in the first place? I don't know. That's up to you guys. It's you do what you got to do. But I'm just saying, don't be surprised if he's in one of those type of feature films. Now, the other thing I wanted to get to is I mean, you guys tell me, man. Who else wants to talk about this fight? Because I talked about it for an hour before you guys got here. So You guys want to have anything else to add about this
I
Berlanga
don't
Canelo fight?
personally, as a competitive standpoint, I don't like the fight. I don't think Berlanga's that good. But I think he talked himself into making this fight interesting. Right? Because he's either going to get beat the shit out of, right? And embarrassed, or he makes Canelo look bad. Now, everybody's going to go with the latter, right? They're going to go with the first one. Excuse me. That's what they're going to do. They're going to go with the first option that I mentioned. And I think that's what makes this fight kind of interesting. He's not just like a cherry pick. And he's like, oh, thank you, Canelo. I appreciate you. I grew up a huge fan. No, he's actually being an asshole. You know? So that I think there's always that chance that somebody could get under your head, under your skin and make you fight out of your game plan. So there's always that element to boxing. But yeah, Berlanga talked himself into making this fight interesting. Not Canelo, Berlanga.
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting because we all, I see we got the Jimmy Reno here. Jimmy, we always talk about on this podcast, we always try to give the underdog a chance and we always try to find different avenues about how possible it is. I'm having a hard time finding one here. What about you?
Oh, yeah. I give him a couple of chances, 0 and none. You know what I mean? This is like a joke. The whole card's a joke. I mean, well, although I've been really concerned. I know you and I.
Hey, this is not. Yeah, I'm going to be delusional. I think you're hating on my Puerto Rican brother. That's what I think.
Oh man, because I've been like waiting with bated breath for Danny Garcia to fight again. Are you kidding me? It's like God knows. You know how long it's been since I've seen a prodding, fucking cement-footed fucking hooker from Philadelphia.
Oh, come on!
Who hasn't won a significant fight since Obama was president?
You know what I noticed in this panel, D-Day? All you guys are Puerto Rican haters.
You know what? I can't argue with that.
A lot of PR haters up here.
I can't argue against that. I recognize there is a certain anti-Boricua sentiment flying around, and I don't like it either. I'm right there with you, man.
I don't like
right
this
with
shit.
you.
I don't like it. I expect something done. I expect you to do something about this.
I will do something about it. After it's in your contract that I got to do something. We don't want you disappearing, man. But here's the thing,
get to it. Get to it and do it.
he's calling the shots now. I want to say something. Berlanga does look significant. Like, most guys look taller than Canelo at super middleweight, but at least he looks bigger than them in terms of musculature. This dude, Berlanga, I'm putting it on the screen here, looks as big as Canelo and taller. Now, if I were standing in front of Berlanga, I would make him look the way he's looking, making Canelo look. But that's besides the point. What I'm saying is, Berlanga is a big dude. Is that his only shot here, power?
Yeah, but he's lacking that fundamental thing called talent. So,
That's the problem. Yeah, I agree with that.
Overrated thing to need. Talent? No, nobody needs that. You're the bigger guy. You know what you're doing. You can easily just win the fight off of just being bigger. There's no talent and technique in boxing.
He needs for Canelo to have a really bad moment and him to capitalize on that. That's what he needs.
When in reality is what's going to happen is Canelo's going to be somewhat inactive and move, staying probably, I would say, mid-range to outside, making Berlanga show when he goes off balance, reaches too far and everything else. So Canelo can download the information and then Canelo will take over.
You know what? I actually think he's going to push Berlanga back the way Angulo did. That fight, I'm going to send you the link to the fight, guys, if you want to watch it. I think that's how the fight's probably going to look. By the way, shout out to Sobers, who just sent me this picture of, because again, they had the grand rivals, which oftentimes are anything but grand. But anyway, this is what happened. Berlanga showed up looking like a Loseta cartel member. Those ex-commando guys that joined the cartels in Mexico. That's how he looks like with this. Look at this. He looks like he's going to rob a liquor store. What's going on with this?
Well, they're allowing in the contract. They're allowing Canelo to wear a back brace because they figure he's gonna carry him for at least 4 rounds.
Oh,
5 rounds.
Jimmy's on fire today, man. Jimmy's been for the time Jimmy's been writing bits ever since we've been off the air, man. Good for you, Jimmy. I like it. I like it.
Or maybe he's sending Canelo a message.
And what message would that be?
He's here to kill.
I'm one of those guys that make those videos.
Oh.
No humiliate too bad. My parents are in the audience.
He's a pozolero. What do they call him? The ones that make pozole?
You guys think that perhaps does Berlanga really believe that he has a shot here?
I don't know. I think he does. I think
he's arrogant enough that he does, he believes in his power enough that he thinks like, yo, if I catch him, it's a little dude. If I hit him on top of his head, he's gonna go down.
Yeah.
He just gotta make sure he lands a perfect punch. And that's what I think he'd be, how he looks at it.
By the way,
I agree.
If there is a next pandemic that the powers that be try to enforce on us, I'm gonna wear this type of masks. Fuck that. You want me to cover up?
Yeah.
All right, I'm wearing this shit. Try to kick me out of the store. Hey, I'm abiding by your rules, by your so-called
And
rules.
I'm gonna be wearing that in the dark when it's dark outside too.
BDA, people were wearing that during the pandemic. People still walking around with those on. Shit like
look
that.
at this. Look at this dude on his well, it's on his right, but it's on the left of the screen rather. That dude's masked up too, and he's wearing a cap on top of that. Oh well, Berlanga's wearing a cap too. Hey, that dude with the braids, who looks like he's from a metal band from the 2000s, a new metal band. Isn't that the guy that got into it with Masvidal?
You can tell you're right. I can recognize those horse teeth a mile away, BDA.
Ah, come
Good
on.
catch.
Sober. You guys, listen, we took a little bit of a hiatus here, and you guys are coming back mean. Jimmy's making fun of Berlanga, recognizes being extra mean. Sober's the only guy that's being okay is Chief. And I know he's got something cooking, though. I know him. So you guys better calm down.
Got something cooking. He's literally got something cooking.
As always.
You guys better simmer down, or I'm going to end this show right now. Well, listen, we got a lot of other stuff to get to here. So if you guys have nothing else to say about that one, we can move on, because there's a lot of other drama out there. Now, Jimmy, have you been following this whole Jaron Ennis? I know it's all news now, but I'm curious. Did you follow this whole Jaron Ennis, Brian Norman thing?
Enough to make me hate boxing.
Really?
You know what I mean? Just like it's enough already. This is like, god damn.
Well, give us a rundown. What happened? What happened? Because that's the.
It's just, you know what I mean? It's both sides jerking off, like fucking Norman. Like, I think he put himself in a worse position because now he's not gonna. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's bullshit. They should just fucking fight. It's got to the point where, like, I used to stay on top of shit like that. I'd be like, okay, I got to see who's saying what. Now it's my thing is this. Fuck you both. You know what I mean? Just fuck you both. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to fucking fight. Don't fight. You fucking clowns. Look, miss the boat. Like, it's the American way. It's not, and it's Americans who are doing it. You don't see this with other fighters. As much. Yeah, we could also talk about that Inoue fight. That sucked. That fucking dude's didn't really want to fight, and blew his back. He punched him so hard in the gut, he broke his back.
Like Mike Tyson, he broke his back. Spinal.
Literally fucked his back up with a body shot, man.
I broke my back.
But you know what?
I did that though once. I remember it was a journeyman. But he went and he hit the guy to the body and almost caved the side in. He said, "Yeah, I hurt my hand on his vertebrae." So he hit him so hard he actually reached the guy's back.
Jeez, Luis. Well, I didn't even get. Was that?
Can I chime in on that? What happened between Ennis and Norman Jr. Because I was paying attention to it as it happened. So what ended up happening was Norman Jr.'s their camp said that they were in talks. And they were negotiating a price, and they hadn't said the number yet. What the number ended up coming out to be was 1.5 million, right? And they said they were being lowballed. Stanionis said he was being lowballed, and I think Barrios said he was being lowballed, and he's also in talks to fighting Pacquiao. So they weren't even entertaining an Ennis fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these guys were saying they're being lowballed though, and Norman's camp, they're trying to negotiate. They said they wanted 2 million. And they'll go fight him in Philly, and the fight just ended up, falling through, right? But the numbers came out, right? It was they tried to give him 1.5. They wanted 2. And then what ended up happening was, people were saying, "Oh, Norman Jr., he's ducking." And other people were saying that they were just trying to use these guys' name to clout chase, because what they really were trying to do was fight Karen Chukadzian again, and they went to the purse bid with them, and Eddie Hearn actually lost that purse bid, and the number they lost was like 1.1. I was like 2.1 million, right? That was a bid, and that's the bid that Eddie Hearn lost. So I just thought it was funny, dude. Now because Jaron Ennis, he has to go fight in Germany now against this dude, or he's gonna have to drop that belt. And I remember a lot of the talk when he was being pressed about fighting Crawford a few months ago. I remember him saying, "Nah, my plan is to unify and go undisputed at 147. Then I'll move up. Then we'll see what he's talking about." And then he's in the situation where there's a 23-year-old with a belt who wants to fight you. He just says, "Hey man, you just got to pay me." Right? Why wouldn't you buy that belt off him and move a step closer to your goal of unifying, right? Because Eddie Hearn got your back. I remember Turkey said he had Ennis's back. He was going to help him fund his fights to get him better fights. And people were saying this kid was asking for too much money. Why wouldn't you? When Canelo wanted the belts from Plant, and he wanted them from Billy, you got to pay for that, right? So if you want to go undisputed, you need that to be unified first. So I don't know why they let that fight fall through to then lose a purse bid to like by 100,000 more.
One thing about that
shows you the lack of his own.
But let me finish with this though, because now they're saying that okay, why don't you want to fight this guy? Jaron Ennis' camp saying we might go up to 154. So it's like he's completely flip flop in a couple months. You wanted to unify the division. And now, when someone wants to unify, I might go up to 154. I don't know what I'm doing.
It sounds like what the debate's going to be tonight.
Oh, it's today.
It sounds like the way the debate's going to be tonight.
Yeah, I forgot. What time is that debate, by the way, between Trump and?
9, I think.
Yeah, I think it's around 9.
All right, so we'll be.
Yeah,
we'll be
it
off.
just shows the zone isn't really supporting Eddie Hearn that much, or putting that much money behind boxing that they lost that fucking thing. Well, my thing with there was 1.7 million supposedly they offered Norman Jr., but they wanted 2.2 million.
Right.
My thing is this: now you're making how much? What are you going to make on your next fight? 200,000, 300,000, right? Or if you don't fight at all, 2.2 million is a lot more than zero. It's just like, dude, who the fuck are you, bro? What have you done? What have you accomplished? Like fucking people learned of you like fucking 3 minutes ago, and you're already in the muck, fucking up the sport. We want 2.2. Dude, shut up. Beat him. If you think you can beat him, take the 1.7 million. Take the fucking 1 million. Take the 500,000. Then you got the belts, and then you dictate. But clearly, if you're fucking trying to hold them out for every last dollar, you're not as confident as you fucking want people to think you are.
Which one are you talking about, Jimmy? Ennis or his opponent?
You're talking about Norman.
Norman, turning down 1.7 million because they wanted another 500,000. And like Eddie Hearn was like, "What are you talking about, dude? You're a nobody, bro. Who the fuck? Where's your fan support? Like, where's Norman's fan support? Like, what has he accomplished? Who is he? He might be a tough talented kid or whatever. But
I understand the Norman thing, but I'm gonna support him here a little bit. He noticed a trend. There's a trend going on, right? So he notices that certain guys are getting paid a lot of money by guys who are either stars or stars in the making, and he's saying, "Look, you haven't proven shit. Yeah, maybe nobody knows me, but I want what's mine. Okay, I want what's mine. I want some good money, guaranteed money, and we can have this fight." Now, I'm not here to say who's ducking who, but this is the problem that I have with Boots. Boots hasn't fought jack shit. Nobody.
Nope, he hasn't.
Nobody. For me to be like, yeah, he's a generational talent. Or
which recognize even underlines it, right? I agree with you. The fact that neither one of them, who the fuck are these guys? Fuck them.
Yeah, but listen,
just makes me hate them.
You're right, and you're right. Brian Norman, you see, Norman is less. He's less known to me, right? And the boxing establishment, and I get that. but you're the one that has the hype, meaning Jerron Ennis, Boots. You're the one that has the hype. So what he's doing is he's just following a trend. That's it. Okay, he's just following this trend that guys are buying belts. And he's like, I want to get what's mine. And then on top of that, there are other fighters that are saying that Boots' team are lowballing them. So when there's usually more than one person, then it starts making me look at you
as like, fire,
okay. Yeah.
You know, attributed to recognize we talked about this before off air. Remember we talked about like you can always tell when someone's a legit dude in the street when they don't fucking like the guy at the bar, right, at the club. He makes sure the 7 bounces around before he like screams it as loud as possible so every bounce is on them. But maybe if they're lucky, if they get 1 or 2 punches.
That's what I do.
It's the dude who walks up to you and whispers in your ear, "Why don't you and I going to go out in the parking lot?" Like, no fanfare, just you and I. That's a legit dude. He wants to bang. Like, you know what I mean? He wants to fucking throw hands. He's not trying to create a fucking scene so everybody will fucking break it up. And he's confident in his abilities. He's not a fucking screamer. So my thing is with Norman, right? He should have jumped in at 1.7 million. Okay. Because 1.7 million is about 1.7 million more than I'm going to make fucking sitting at home. And on top of that, I think I can knock this fucking overrated dude out.
Well, first of all,
I think
if a guy, let me just say this. Let me just say this. If a guy
statement is the end of it, he doesn't believe.
Let me just say this. If a
Sorry,
guy,
BD, I know you're talking.
If a guy comes up to you in a bar and whispers to you, "Let's go out and bang it out," I'd be I'd just be cautious about what exactly he's referring to. Second of all, the other guy that does that a lot is Bernard Hopkins. Remember that? He's done it twice now where he whispers in guys, "Let's go to the bathroom." And then when you show up to the bathroom and there's Bernard Hopkins right there. I mean, you got to watch out, man.
That's his prison time talking because that's what they do in prison.
Exactly.
They fight.
Let him get down.
They go fight in the bathroom because that's the one place they don't have cameras.
Yeah. But sorry, so Chief, were you going to say something? Because I got something to add about this whole.
It's just the fact that Jimmy's talking different parts of this. Last part of his sentence was, if you really think you can win this fight, I don't think he thinks he can. And that's the reason why he's trying to price himself up, because this is his, he's around the title picture, but he's like Troy, I can't remember, Troy Dorsey. I'm going to have the belt for a little bit and that's it. And I might be able to get some more shots afterwards for some decent paydays off of being an opponent. But this is as far as I'm going to get. So this shot is the one that really needs to pay me. Mm-hmm. So I need to cash in on this now. I'm not defending him, but I understand where he's coming from. So if this is the only one I'm going to get, and we're in the year 2024, 2.2 million is probably, the going rate of what some people think they're going to get for an above average payday. Whereas, we've had guys make 8-9 figures before. This guy wants 2.2. Mm-hmm. Now, does he draw anything? No, but neither does Boots. And so nobody draws anything. This guy's like, no, if I'm going to give up my title, if I'm going to risk my title against you, a guy that I'm probably not going to get a fair shake against, I want to get paid for it. That's all I think he's doing. I'm not saying he's right, because I think both of them deserve about what Corrales and Mayweather got for their first fight. Split a $3 million payday and get it over with.
And that was in 2000. Inflation. Yeah, that was in 2000. That mill was worth more than it is now. By the way, Joe in the chat says, why does BD have that pic of Hopkins? That sounds pretty. See, I hate when, first of all, I got it from Google Images. I didn't save it. And even if I did save it, it's this new Zoomer thing that, you got that picture saved on your phone. So what? You got everything that's saved on your phone, you're jerking off to it? I've never jerked off to anything from my phone. Never. So Joe, you better zip it there, man, because let me tell you something, buddy boy, your thinking is all askew. But I want to add something to this. Actually, let me read a couple of super chats. And shout out to Joe, by the way. Haven't seen him in a while. He was always every other day. He was in the Discord. Guys, who's up for a voice chat? Who's up for a voice? And then he would show up for 2 minutes and then leave. But at least he was around. I haven't seen him around for a while, so good to see he's back. Shout out to Joe.
And now he doesn't show up at all.
Exactly. Yeah. We got. I'm going to read a couple of super chats here. Shout out to JXV88 for his contribution. He says, real boxing fans will buy this fight. Let's talk about the Canelo Berlanga one. And I want to hear from the guy from Houston too. He always buys the Canelo fights and he makes a big party out of it. He says these are his words, not mine. He's got the beer, he's got the grilled meat, the barbecue. He's got the Yeska, he's got the Snow White, and I said, "Whoa, okay, good. That sounds like quite a party right there, man." Shout out to Rafael Garza for his contribution to the super chat. He says the women want Canelo to fight with his shirt on. The women hate Canelo because rumor has it Canelo slaps women when he gets drunk, and La Raza is expecting a knockout. Okay, I don't know where you're getting that from, that Canelo slaps his wife around, but listen, hey, it's Mexico. It's a little bit like those Arab countries. Sometimes you gotta set the wife straight, all right? I'm not condoning it, but I'm just saying that's the way they do it. Shout out to Frankie Sands for his contribution to the super chat. By the way, if instead of slapping her around, you can just put a bunch of oranges in a napkin or something, or a towel, and just beat him with it. It leaves no marks. That's what I heard, by the way. Frankie Sands, shout out to Frankie Sands. Too. Yeah, shout out to Frankie for his contribution. He says, BDA, what do you think about the X Factor memo on Berlanga's team? I didn't know he was on Berlanga's team.
Nice. I like it.
He has Memo Heredia, yeah.
Interesting. That's it.
Hi guys.
So it's gonna be Memo's supplements against whatever Canelo's getting in Germany. Versus
Reynoso's specialty, right?
Exactly.
This is an unconfirmed rumor. Memo Heredia is booty juice.
Oh, come on. Now, wait a minute. You can't go that far, man. We're gonna get sued.
He's taking up for the Puerto Rican over the Mexican.
Well, he's taking up more up there than you think there, let me tell you. Shout out to Virtuoso.
Come on, I didn't say that.
I didn't say anything. What did I say? Shout out to Virtuoso for his contribution with the super chat. He says Brian Norman is going to take a pay cut on his next fight. That man and his team isn't worth a bus ticket. Boots should stop wasting his time at welterweight. Oh, he calls it welterweight as in waiting. Nice little pun there. I enjoy it. Let me tell you something about that. Shout out to Virtuoso and everybody else for their contribution with the super chat. I want to chime in on this Ennis thing because I was listening to Black and Brown. Shout out to Black and Brown Boxing, and he made a good point. He said, look, when Lomachenko was in negotiations with Teofimo Lopez, Lopez was throwing a hissy fit about his payday, and Lomachenko said, okay, yeah, give him just whatever he wants. Take it off of my paycheck. I want the fight. That's a real fighter right there. And you can't say, well, that's Lomachenko. He's a bigger star than Ennis, because he's not real. Lomachenko was never really a big star. ESPN and Top Rank, they tried pushing him, and he never became a mainstream guy. So Ennis isn't that far off from the Lomachenko level to the point. And I said, you know what? Yeah, it's true. Why not give him a little extra money? However, the counterpoint to that is, if Ennis isn't anybody, at least he drew a good crowd in his last fight in Philly, which was thought to be a wasteland. Once thriving fight city turned into a wasteland, and yet he seemed to get a good crowd going the last time he fought there. Brian Norman Jr., if he fights in his living room, can he draw a crowd? It's like, and then I saw people on Twitter going, yeah, but after taxes, he gets $1 million, but after taxes, I'm thinking, are you his accountant all of a sudden? Why do you care how much he's getting? And I understand that he wants to get the most money out of boxing, but if you're thinking that way long term, if you really believe you can beat Ennis, that's going to get you more money later on. But you gotta make a bit of a sacrifice here. Here's the other point to that. Kelly Pavlik. When Kelly Pavlik fought Jermaine Taylor in 2007, Taylor was the guy that HBO had been pushing as the next middleweight star. He was undefeated. He'd taken on Hopkins twice and Winky Wright. Pavlik goes in there. From what I remember, he got paid $1 million thereabouts. I think $1,050,000. And I remember that there was a famous story where he forgot his check in the hotel room. And he said, oh, imagine if the cleaning lady would have found a $600,000 check. So apparently I did a little digging. He got paid there about $660,000. All right. So that means, let's round that to $500,000 that he had to pay. That's $500,000 that he had to pay for, taxes, promoter, entourage, team, whatever. $500,000. So he didn't even make $1 million that fight, but he went for it. And guess what? In the rematch, he got paid $2 million. So, at the end of the day, I can see both sides, their arguments. But so I'm with Jimmy, man. I'm tired of it. This is the type of stuff that I hate talking about. Who's at fault for this? Who's avoiding whom? Blah, blah, blah. Can't you fuckers just fight? You don't see the Ukrainians. You don't see the Mexicans as a whole. There's exceptions. Like Bivol was asking for more money for the Beterbiev fight. He's a Russian. But for the most part, you don't see this type of drama from other countries. It just so happens to be the gringos, They're always haggling over money, the location of the fight, the size of the gloves, the size of the ring, the size of the fucking dildo that one guy has to suck after the fight for after losing. I mean, come on, man. Just is it too much to ask for these guys to fight?
Shouldn't be. I mean, but we actually go back as much as I loved him. This kind of like started with Ray Leonard. When are you going to fight Tommy Hearns? When they pay me the money that I deserve? I mean, that quote started in the lower weight classes at that moment. And again, like I said, I've always loved Ray Leonard. I think he's the greatest welterweight of my lifetime, and there have been some great ones that come along. But he's the one that kind of started, because after him, what did Roy Jones start to do when he was trying to act like him? When I'm going to fight Eric Lucas? When you pay me. When I'm going to fight this guy? When you pay me. When I'm going to fight this guy? When you pay me. And then what happened after that? Then Floyd comes along. When are you going to do this? When they pay me. When they pay me. When they pay me. It just kind of trickled down, like you said, among a certain ethnicity and a certain demographic of said ethnicity,
Yeah, man. I mean, I understand these guys want to get paid more. I understand that. I'm with them. I mean, if I was this guy's manager or their friend or their family member, I'd be like, yeah, try to squeeze as much money as you can out of this. However, there's also the reality. There's also the reality of Sobers. You got your mic on. I don't know what you're listening.
What the fuck is going on?
He's got the Vietnam radio frequency, but I understand that squeeze.
My bad, bro.
Squeeze as much money as you want as you can. However, there's also the reality that's inescapable and undeniable. You get paid what you deserve. If you can't draw a crowd, why the fuck are you asking for more than $1 million? I'm sorry, man. That's where I go and look at that and I go, it makes no sense for you to be asking that much money. It's unrealistic.
Agreed. If you don't draw a crowd at all, if you don't draw anything, if your ratings aren't high, if you don't draw pay-per-views, if you're at that level of your career, which these guys clearly are not, if you can't draw like a crowd in an arena, then congratulations. This is your severance package. Either that or you trade your butt off and you make sure you pull off that upset deal where you get paid more later. Either way, you've done nothing to actually draw this landmark payday above what is usually, even with the inflation of today, which is usually around the lower level of the guarantees of the guys just getting to the title range.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Like I said, even though it was back in 2000, that's what that's what Floyd and Corrales were fighting for, 1.5. Roy Jones' first contract was 6 fights for $2 million apiece. Given 90s, the inflation's nowhere near the same. But that was his first big contract, was $2 million a fight. I know that inflation's killing everything now, but at the same time, you're at that level now. So if you deserve more than that, you got to put an exclamation point on something for someone to say you're worth paying for. And to be honest with you, with nobody really investing on this side of the ocean, the Turks the one doing all the investing over in the Middle East, they're not going to cough up another $500K. They're just not going to, because you're not bringing anything. You're going to cost them more than anything else. And it seems to me, I have no proof of this, it seems to me that the promoters are like scrimping and saving over here to try and get stuff done, because they're going against a multi-trillionaire over in the Middle East. And he's able to buy whatever fight he wants.
Right.
Because he doesn't seem to care about a profit. These guys have to make a profit or they can't keep going. So that's it.
It's interesting, man, because Sobers did bring up the X factor, which is the Turkey Al Sheikh. Now, if this guy were to bank that fight, the Ennis versus Norman, then I could understand him saying, you know what, the fucking Turkey Al Sheikh could sell his watch and just give the profits of that sale over to Norman Spurs. I mean, he's probably got a watch that's over $300,000 or something. Just sell that, boom. You give that to Brian Norman, he's happy. But he's not involved apparently in this, or I don't know if he was involved in negotiations. So it's a bunch of little details that you got to skim through, read all the articles, what he said, she said, and even what he said, she said might not be factual. So it's a bunch of malarkey. That's what I say.
Jimmy, it really makes me kind of want to start to hate the sport, because this has been roughly since the post-Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather era, even though they took them a long time to fight each other, they were still having exciting fights in between. Mm-hmm. This era, especially with those 4 queens that were at lightweight that are still twittering up everything out there and double Xing their stupid comment posts on social media. they're winning. Their thumbs are. I tell you what, they must be knock people out with their thumbs like you wouldn't believe, because they are tweeting and texting like you wouldn't believe, like no tomorrow. But their punches, with the exception of Tank, can't crack an egg. And we're just sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting. I've been on the show roughly around 3 or 4 years now. We still haven't seen any of those 4 guys, fight each other yet.
Well,
Tank and Shakur and all those guys. None of them have even come close to even sending real contracts, with the exception of Haney and Ryan, and we all know what happened there.
Yeah, the only one that really fought was Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, and Ryan Garcia Haney, and that's because Garcia was seen as the easiest prey. But even then, he ended up showing those guys that he was still dangerous. Even Tank Davis, he had Davis clinching like there was no tomorrow. So, but your point still stands. These dudes, they just don't want to. They don't want to do what they got to do. It's insane.
Can I just say one last thing about it? So like that kid Norman, he's 23, and Boots is 27, and it just really looked like Eddie Hearn kind of dropped the ball, because this fight could have been good in Philly. They could have had a kid from Atlanta go up there and fight him. Like I said earlier, when Canelo needed the belt from Plant, from Billy Joe Smith, he paid him. He gave him what they wanted. You know what I mean? Even Caleb Plant complained about how much he got paid until he got paid more, if I'm not mistaken. But he should have bought the belt off him, took it off him, because now Eddie Hearn put him in a position where he has to go to Germany to defend against this dude, or he might end up just dropping the belt altogether, and it's just gonna look like what's going on over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's a bad look to me. It's a bad look to me.
It is a bad look, that's for sure. It's a bad look for boxing, that's for sure. Because the book on boxing is always, they never make the big fights. First of all, that's a bunch of baloney, because they do. Boxing does get the big fights done, but there is always one fight. That's true, 1 or 2 fights where these guys just haggle over money and nothing ever happens. So I mean, I don't know. By the way, we got a phone call here. Let's go to the phone lines, and then we'll come back to something else here. 773, you're on the air. 773. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Yeah, man, just to touch on the upcoming fight this weekend. I got Canelo probably in between 10 and 12. I think he stops him. After that, just give us the Benavidez fight already. Get that out the way. Benavidez isn't unbeatable. I think it's a good fight. He's Munguia 2.0, style-wise. Got a good engine, punches and bunches. Give us the fight. After that, we'll see what happens, right? Depending on how that fight goes. Look at 175. Get the winner of Benavidez and Bivol. Those are his doors. Outside of that, man, probably retire after that. Not much else to do.
Yeah, apparently there was.
Who's left? And Billy.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around. There was a rumor going around on Twitter that supposedly they're talking now behind the scenes about a Benavidez fight being next for Canelo. But again, I mean, hopefully the Benavidez side finally concedes the fact that they can't be calling the shots and demanding TV rights and all of that. But I think Canelo too is in a bit of a conundrum, because after this, what's next for him? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, granted, his legacy is solidified. We know that. But, continue it. If you want to continue it, just give us a fight. Big money fight. Enough said about that. I don't want to beat that dead horse. On the undercard, they got fucking Danny Garcia and Lara. Come on, man. Garcia's never never fought at 160. Rusty as fuck. Granted, Lara's up there in age. I think Lara takes it still. I don't see Danny beating him. It's a bullshit fight. And then just to continue on, we got Dubois and Joshua. I think that's going to be a good fight. I think Dubois is a little bit more chinny. Granted, Joshua's got chin check, but I think from a technical standpoint, I think Joshua's got him beat. Probably even stops him late, maybe in the mid rounds. And then I still got Usyk on Fury, man. So I heard you guys talking about Ennis and Norman. I'll just put it like this, man. If Ennis wants to stay at 147, cool. Wrap up the division, unify, do what you got to do. If you want to become undisputed, go for it. Even though he's got the frame to go to 154, there's some good fights for him. But yeah, if his team decides to keep him at 147, you can unify, become undisputed. That's what it's about. That's what I'm all about, man. Unify, get the belts. That's the whole point of watching the sport. So that's where I stand with Ennis, man. In terms of all the background shit, what's going on behind the scenes, I really don't know. I haven't been following it that close. But the guy's got the talent, he's got the ability, so we'll see what happens with him.
We shall indeed. All right. Well, listen, thank you for your call, and call back next time.
That's right. Saludos.
Saludos. Take it easy out there. Hey, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. And I wanted to bring this up to you. Well, first of all, actually, shout out to Rafael Garza for reestablishing his membership, his BDA membership. Shout out to him staying back in the fold here. And he says, hold on a second, what is he saying? He says, Sugar Ray and Hitman fought in their early 20s, but this generation can't. Not only that, because I know some people are going to say, yeah, but that was in 1981. That was a way back. Well, we don't even have to go that way back. When Trinidad and De La Hoya fought, two undefeated guys, they'd wiped out the division for the most part. They were 26 years old when they fought each other. And they'd already accomplished a lot back then. It wasn't like with Crawford, where after Porter, he goes, oh yeah, if I don't ever fight Spence, my career is, I'm fulfilled. It's like, what? But those dudes have already really beaten everybody, multiple division or multiple defenses, and that was just the icing on the cake, that fight. They were 26 years old. Meanwhile, these guys, they're nearing, like Tank Davis is nearing his 30s, hasn't fought any of the elite guys. I mean, what's that about? And then the other guys are just yapping about how the fight's going to happen, how it's not going to happen, he has to pay me more money, blah, blah, blah. Oh, man. I want to read a comment from Joe, because that's the big narrative here. Most people aren't even talking about Canelo Berlanga itself. They're talking about Canelo versus the UFC. And Joe had this to say. He says, that's why the UFC is taking over boxing, because this shit doesn't happen, and this cherry-picking bullshit doesn't happen in the UFC. And that's why people are leaving boxing in droves, and it sucks. Well, how about that? Because just the other day, somebody posted a video on Never Sober's Discord about how the UFC is running out of stars. That's why some people say Dana White is sucking John Jones off so much that because he's the only really one of the last of the Mohicans that he has. There's no other stars. And I've often asked you guys to tell me who's the biggest name in the UFC, and you guys have told me that there's not really that many, big names out there anymore. So I don't know if boxing is really in that much of a dire strait in regards to the UFC. Well, what do you guys think? Well, the silence from these panelists is their way of telling me to fuck off, change the subject. No, but listen, I've often said that as it pertains to the UFC, people say, "Oh, there's no big name now." There's somebody's gonna come out. Somebody is gonna come. I remember when Georges St. Pierre was recently retired. I forget the timeline exactly, but I know it was the mid 2010s. He was mostly out of it, and then along comes Conor McGregor, and for a while he was carrying the UFC. There's always that guy you least expect. I mean, Pacquiao, when Mayweather was about to retire for the first time in 2007, Pacquiao was a featherweight, super featherweight. He wasn't really, he was doing good numbers, but he wasn't mainstream. All of a sudden, as soon as Mayweather retires, Pacquiao comes along, he takes over the reins, he becomes a star. Now you got two stars when Mayweather returned. Now you got two stars in the fighting vicinity. So it's the same thing with MMA. Someone's going to come along and become a star again. The problem with MMA is that these guys tend to have a shorter lifespan than boxers. I mean, just look. You would
think it is more physical. It's more physical. Like they fucking wrestle. They kind of like beat each other's face in. A lot of them suffer losses like when they get knocked out pretty cold.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the one thing I would say. It seems like boxing still has, that one or two star that is like more famous than, let's say, the UFC, where they have more players in the game, but not one individual is more famous than let's say the two or the three biggest stars in boxing.
Yeah, that's a good point. They seem to. I think they also have a younger crowd on tap. Whenever I see these press conferences, which, by the way, I like how they do the press conference at the UFC, where they actually let audience members ask questions. They would never dream to do that, or they wouldn't dare to do that in boxing, because then people would be asking too many questions.
See, when I talk to people that are UFC fans or just sports fan, okay, I'm going to give you the general comment. Yeah, that guy Canelo's good. Yeah, that Usyk, who's that? Yeah, Tyson Fury, he's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But isn't boxing fixed? That's the general comment for
Right.
boxing. Out for the outsider. Okay. These guys watch UFC, right? And they don't say that. They don't say stuff like that. Oh, isn't UFC fixed? It could be, but what I'm trying to say is that's not their. And these are fans. These are people that are fans of multi sports, right? Mainly team sports. But when they do choose to watch single combat fighter, one on one, they choose to the younger crowd. They choose to watch the UFC over boxing. And like again, their general statement of boxing is they'll know who Canelo is. They're like, yeah, that guy's a beast. Oh, that guy Ryan Garcia is always on fucking the internet. Usyk, I don't know who's that. That's the guy that beat Tyson Fury. Oh yeah, I know Tyson Fury. Oh, okay. Now I know who he is. And then, isn't boxing fixed? Like that's the last statement. Isn't boxing fixed?
Right. The thing I hear about from casuals about them, you said like the casuals about boxing, they say, isn't that shit fixed and all that. The thing I hear about MMA is, isn't that gay? I'm not kidding around. That's what I'm not kidding around.
Well, that's us boxing fans. That's us boxing fans.
But it's not just boxing.
Like, isn't that shit gay?
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of boxing fans who say that, but I also hear a lot of. I've heard a lot of casuals say, "I don't know, I can't stand that gay shit." That's what they said. They refer it to. I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
They call it that gay shit, and I go, you know what? It's a little hard, no pun intended, to disagree with that statement. Sometimes it does.
The
like
criticism is always that it's kind of gay the way they fight.
I mean, don't get me wrong; it's a fantastic skill to be able to wrestle and jiu-jitsu and all that, but you gotta really you gotta be some of these guys out there, they're homophobic and all that. I mean, just look at the people in the crowd today. I said I like seeing Canelo finish guys off, and people took that and they just went, I mean, it was funny, but I'm just thinking that's where people's minds are at. My mind is that there's sometimes too. Was that?
Peter, yeah, is that really a testament against you or their dirty minds?
I think we're all dirty, but I just pretend that I'm not as dirty as them. So I always have to have the high ground. But listen, the point is this. Yeah, so you're right. Casuals are always going to look at combat sports. And I was telling that to you guys yesterday. Wasn't that yesterday when we were on the voice chat where I said it's insane how Dana White really thought, or I think it was Joe Rogan or Dana White, they thought in the mid-2000s that MMA was going to overtake the NFL. It's insane to me that they actually thought. But by the way, we got to get to that. We'll get to that, but let me just go to the phone lines here because somebody's been waiting for a while here. Let's go to 805. 805, you're on the air. 805, what's on your mind?
Why is there so many bootlickers on the panel today?
What are you referring to, Amok? Or who are you referring to? Whom are you referring to?
I mean, Crowley, Stan Jonas, and now Norman. They're lowballing 3 different guys. Who's the common denominator? Booty Ennis.
Amok always has to come up with some weird nicknames for the fight. Well, okay, so what's your... I mean, because some people on the panel were saying, hey, listen, I can see both sides, blah, blah, blah. You're picking one side.
I mean, let's be honest here. The last reason why there was a crowd was because the semi-name, the washed fighter, what's his name? David Avanesian or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm. You think he drew the crowd?
So yeah, other than that.
Were you saying Avanesian and an Armenian American drew the crowd in Philly?
Let's be honest. Nobody really knows who the fuck either of them, all 3 of them. If you walk down the street, hey, you know who Booty Ennis is? They're not gonna know.
Okay, but so if it's 2 unknown fighters, then they should be okay. Norman should be okay with the money too.
Both of them. One of them shouldn't lowball the other.
But you just said neither guy is that big a deal, box office wise. So why should Norman expect more from a guy that can't sell?
Yeah, but that's not a reason to just lowball the other guy.
But how do you know they lowballed him? Yeah, so you're saying Norman is worth $2 million?
I mean, you got Crowley's team saying it. You got Staniona's team saying it, and now you got Norman's team saying it. And who's the common denominator?
How much did Crowley make in his last fight? Has he even fought yet? Hasn't he been on ice?
I don't even know, to be honest.
Well, there you go. So he, instead of taking that fight, he's been earning 0. He's actually been losing money, probably.
Yeah, Yeah, but they're over here acting like Booty Ennis is a pay-per-view star when, like, has he even done a pay-per-view?
Why does that make me laugh so much? I'm fucking... I don't know. But what would you say? Sorry, what was your question?
Has Booty Ennis done a pay-per-view?
No, he hasn't. He has not. No.
What is it? What is it that gets you going? The Booty Anus?
Oh, come on! It doesn't get me going. It just makes me laugh. That's what it is.
That's what tickles your fancy.
No, stop it.
I mean, and between both of them, I have to say Norman has the better win.
Is that right?
And if Boots were to beat him, that would be his best name on his resume right now.
You know what? That's true. I can't argue against that, even if I wanted to. You're right.
Right. Norman knocked out, what was that guy? Santillia, that everybody was making a big deal about?
Yeah, Santillia.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Good call,
he beat
bro.
Rocha.
You're right. Good points, bro. Good points. I agree.
He beat your boy Rocha.
Yeah, Santillan beat Rocha. And I like that Norman versus Santillan fight. That was a roid fest in there. Who had the better roids? Because neither guy was budging until actually one had to budge. But you know what? You're right. Because look, people make a big deal too. Some people make a big deal of Ennis beating Villa. Like, oh, Villa. Yeah, but Villa barely beat Ellis. I don't even think he beat him.
Nobody knows who the fuck Roman Vanilla is. Nobody knows.
Did you just call him Vanilla?
Yeah, nobody knows who Roman Vanilla is.
There you go.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Okay, well, now I don't understand why you're having an accent all of a sudden. Now it sounds like you're making fun of Hispanics.
Because, he's like Irish. He's like half Irish and shit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it sounded like a half Irish accent. He sounded like Conor McGregor on the line. But listen, I sort of agree with you now that, in terms of who has the better win. But even then, if neither guy is a big star, then they should both just get that $1 million payday and be happy with it. And then move on to bigger and better things.
Oh, I would like to add in too.
So that's like saying I should take a quarter and BDA should take 3, and none of us know. None of the crowd knows. None of us.
What? Anyway, listen. Whenever we go out for ice cream, me and the panelists, I always get 2 scoops. I'm like Trump. I get 2 scoops, and I drive all the liberals insane. They can't believe that I get 2 scoops of ice cream. But anyway, listen, Amok, your point is well taken. And
it's the greatest ice cream I've ever had. The greatest.
And hopefully this thing can get resolved and we actually get the fights we want to see. Anything else you want to say, Amok, before we go?
Yeah, I got Canelo by, I don't know, anywhere between mid to like the third quarter of the fight stoppage.
Wow,
Puerto Rican hater. I sense it. Puerto Rican hater right there.
All right, well, listen, shout out to you, Amok. Thank you for your call, and call back next time, man. Take it easy.
Wait. I heard the rumor in the street. Rumor in the street is that recognized as a tattoo of Triple G on his left butt cheek.
Oh.
You made that up. You sick bastard. You made that up.
All right, shout out to you, Amok. Take it easy out there, man. Thank you for your call. Yeah, I never liked that GGG thing. It's looked too much like 666. And I don't go for that type of stuff. Let me tell you.
Mark of the beast.
That's right.
He's the beast.
Well, I mean, he was a beast if you think about it, but still, it's in bad taste, in my opinion. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to our phone call. Let's go to 336. 336, you're on the air. 336. What's on your mind?
Yo, what's up, BDA? You're going to shave me, right, BDA?
I'm going to what?
You missed that reference?
I'm gonna what?
Did you not check sober server? Did you not check sober server when he added you? Fuck, I thought you were gonna get the joke. Oh well, fuck, you missed out. Anyways, ask Sober's about it. He'll let you know.
The fuck's he talking about?
But when it comes to you should. Well, you'll find out soon. But when it comes to boots and this and stuff, what I've noticed is Eddie Hearn has like this really weird thing about him where he likes to overpay black fighters that aren't like proven like at elite level or really crossed over into the mainstream yet. He did that with Haney a lot. We downplay like Loma, what he did with Campbell selling 19,000 in the O2 Arena. But the thing is now when you look at Haney and his marketability being destroyed, what does Hearn is like kind of turning a strong blind eye to him right now. Unless he can make the Paro fight with him. And I question how much money Hearn's made on this guy, how much money he's lost. I think he's lost millions on Haney, genuinely, because he promoted a lot of his fights, giving him guarantees of $2-3 million when he was nowhere near worth it. And he's doing the same thing with Boots Ennis. Like, if you look at Boots Ennis versus Ivan and shit, that fight on the Zone highlights doesn't even have 1 million fucking views. I mean, this guy's getting more guarantees than, like, Loma. He's not even fucking 2 or 3 times the fucking, like, star he is. I mean, I know we know that Lomachenko never got crossed over into a star, but he's a way bigger name than fucking Boots Ennis is. So, of course, these fighters are thinking, well, this fucking guy is getting $3 million. Why the fuck am I getting $500,000 or $1 million or whatever it is in the negotiations? When he's not even bigger name than they are at all. He's fucking nobody at this point. And he's about to be 28 years old. So, yeah, Eddie Hearn's willing to lose money again on another black fighter and millions of dollars to do it. And that's just my thing on that. And they are all getting lowballed.
Well, can I say something about that?
Paydays.
You make a good point about it. Because I remember what Repet always used to say, that Eddie Hearn's never seen a shirtless black guy that he didn't want to sign.
Right.
There's something about that. Yeah, there's something truthful about that. But I will disagree with you about Haney not being that the Ryan Garcia situation hurt his stock. I disagree. His last fight in a carnival, there was a decent sized crowd out there. Look at this. I'm putting it on the screen.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, you think if Brian Norman would have been in Haney's position, you think there would have been that many people around? I think it would have been half the people that are around now.
Oh, no, Brian Norman gets knockouts, though. But I was going to get to Brian Norman and his fight against Santion on Top Rank. I'm pretty sure that fight got almost just as many views on Top Rank than Boots' last fight did. And Boots will see this fucking megastar. This fucking guy who's bigger than fucking Brian Norman, way bigger name. It's just bullshit. It's not real. So realistically, they should be getting like a 50-50 or maybe 60-40 split in Boots' favor. Not no 70-30, 75-25. That's pricing yourself out. He's not that guy. He's not a draw like that. He's not. So I'm going to leave that at that. Andy Hidenoka looked great, at 140. I know it was against an old Barroso, but I'd like to maybe see him fight Tio. Tio looks like I don't know how much longer he can make junior welterweight. It's kind of hard to say because he's outside of camp. He looks kind of big, so like bloated, like girthy, no homo. So I don't know how much longer he's going to be making that weight. But Hidenoka's a great, at least threat. I won't call him a great fighter, but he's got a lot of knockouts. He's tall. He has a very good jab. A guy like Tank Davis would never fight because he never touched him. I mean, Hidenoka would destroy Rayo Valenzuela. It wouldn't even be a fucking competitive fight. And for context, even though this was a very young Jin Sasaki, he knocked him out when he was 20 years old. And Jin Sasaki's becoming one of the best welterweights in the world. And, that win has aged very well. He's been knocking out a lot of guys. He's got almost 100% knockout ratio in all the fights he's won. So that win has aged very well from him at 140 after Sasaki moved up. So I'd like to maybe see Tio fight that guy next. If he can't get the Paro fight, Paro's going to duck and fight Haney. And then when it comes to Canelo, I think the fight will be competitive for the first 5 or 6 rounds, and then I think Canelo's going to get him out of there in rounds 8 through 10. I think something like that. And then I got AJ stopping Dubois in rounds 6 through 8. So those are early predictions and shit. But yeah, there's a lot of good fights that are coming up pretty soon.
Absolutely.
We'll kind of see. You got Bautista Garcia versus Lamont Roach. At first, we still don't know what's happening with Tank. I guess I'm going to assume he's fighting Rayo. But, I mean, if he pulls up Lamont Roach, that's just a bomb fight. Because Bautista Garcia is supposed to be fighting Roach. And that's a gold medalist versus a, title holder. And that could set up reunification with Navarrete. So they need to be fighting. I don't want to see Tank pull up another fucking guy and wait. It's stupid. He won't get criticized for it, obviously, because we know why. But, yeah, I just want to touch up on some quick shit. And, get the shaver ready, BDA. That's all I had to say.
All right. Well, shout out to Dora for his call. He said a lot in that call, and somebody said in the Bray says, "Does Dora ever take a breath?" Well, he can't take a breath when he's got so much to say. He's got to do it fast pace. That's the way the way this younger generation does it. They're on the phone all the time. It's always go go go, like a New Yorker. Like recognize.
Dora's vocabulary is pretty impeccable. I'll give him that. It's just fast paced.
I wouldn't call it impeccable. I'd call it neurotic. But anyway, listen, shout out to Dora. Thank you for your call, Dora. We'll call back next time. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 323. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
Howdy, motherfuckers. That Berlanga fight, man, I'm going to say I saw so much fucking Canelo slippage, and it's hard to tell if Canelo was carrying Munguia. I think we talked about this before, or he was or there was a major slippage in his game, but Canelo is not Canelo anymore, and we've all got to admit that. So I think it might go the distance What else was I going to say? Yeah, man, you know what? I'm tired of this Tank shit. I keep seeing it everywhere. Like, Tank's the greatest. Tank's one of the best. And, he should just fight Tio at 140. And, I mean, Tio's not that great. That would be a good fight. That would be a high-profile fight. That would be a good money fight, I think. I think Tio would win, but, who knows? And I don't know if anybody has commented on the Bivol and Beterbiev fight, but I think I have Bivol because that meniscus tear, it's a radial tear, I think. So what happens with the meniscus tear? It could be a slight tear from the edge in, or it could be from the middle out radiating. So I think what happened to Beterbiev, it's a pretty bad tear, and it's a degenerative tear. So his mobility is going to be really affected by that tear. It could go during the fight. I heard that he's going to have injections and steroid shots, so who knows how long that's going to last. I don't think his mobility is going to be really good, and I think he's going to be there to get just pounced on. And I don't know if he's going to be able to land anything significant on Bivol. So I've got Bivol totally winning by decision in that fight.
All right.
I don't know how you guys see it. Anyways, and his wife is fucking hot as fuck. I would totally nut in her ass.
I would definitely fuck her and then beat her up. I would definitely bang her. I would definitely bang her and then beat her up the way Bivol did. Allegedly. I should say allegedly. We don't know the facts. But shout out to
Well, you don't know the facts.
Yeah, shout out to Don Madrazos for his call, and shout out to Don Madrazos for keeping the salty language to a minimum. That's good. I always appreciate that. Shout out to him. Let's go to our phone call. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps us out. Let's go to our phone call. Let's go to 929. 929, you're on the air. 929. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's good, BDA? What's up? It's Virtuoso. I have to second Don Madrazos. I'll probably have to tag team, with him and her. So I agree she's fucking hot. But yeah, I just wanted to chime in real quick about this binomial situation.
I'm gonna come.
Yo, I envy Jimmy because he got to see fighters, back in the day who fought no matter what. Yeah, you had your horror stories of how fighters were mistreated, how they got paid, but just a question to ask you guys. If Wilfredo Benitez didn't fight Antonio Cervantes, right, for his first world title at 17 years old, and build off of that win, getting wins along the way, do you think he wouldn't have gotten that, 1.2 million to fight Sugar Ray Leonard, which adjusted for inflation is like $5 million nowadays?
Probably more than that. Probably more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he took a big risk.
Go ahead.
He took a big risk in doing so, and I agree with you. It ended up adding to his profile and bringing something to the table for a Sugar Ray Leonard fight later on. That being said, these fighters today. That being said, these fighters today, because when he fought Leonard, he had a welterweight title, and then he had the junior welterweight title that he had before that you mentioned against Cervantes. But so he had a legacy behind him. Say, hey, I fought these guys, you haven't fought them, so. Even if you are the big American draw or the big American hopeful, I still deserve to get paid this amount. These guys are afraid of taking a loss from the get-go, so they don't take risks. They don't have a high profile, and it's a rolling snowball.
Yeah, because from what I'm learning, from the little fans that he has, and his manager, they're operating from a position of surrender. Like they already know they're going to lose, so they might as well mortgage that belt, and I don't know, like because I've been hearing that he's a champion, right? But is that your only leverage? Is that all you have? What about how many tickets have you sold in the Phillips Arena in Atlanta? How big of a draw you are, and that hasn't been determined yet because nobody's ever heard of him until he beat Santillán, and that was the guy that was supposed to win. He was somewhat of a house fighter to them, because they saw he had, he showed some improvement. He could be an asset to them, but he basically destroyed that hype from San Diego, and you have an opportunity to unify and build off of that win. You never know. I just don't understand fighters today. They have to talk like, they're accountants and they're businessmen. Leave the business part to the businessmen. And, you're being guided by people that are just trying to make off like bandits. They're not serious about their careers. I don't know, where do you go from here now that you turn down a career high payday. That's just what it is. I mean, even if you come shave down the money down to after taxes, trainer fees, sanctioning fees, management fees, you're still going to end up with more than what Topic is going to give you, which I don't think they're pressuring them to give them more money. I don't see that happening, or else they're not going to fight. So what the fuck? If you don't get the money that you're looking for over here, then where else are you going to get it?
Exactly.
It just sucks. But I'm not looking forward to this weekend's fight between Canelo and Berlanga. I do think that Canelo is slowing down, which is why I believe he's taking this fight. I think he's Berlanga is there for the knockout. If he's going to open up, Canelo is going to find openings to land more heavier shots. He's a good counter puncher. Berlanga is just not in that same stratosphere in terms of skill level. I'm sorry. This is a fucking throwaway fight. It's not worth $90. For $90, you could get 2 hookers for fucking double the blowjob. I'm not sorry.
That right?
I'm not sorry about that. If I start
that's good to know.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll trick if I have to. Fuck that shit.
That's good to know, man.
Where? Hey,
yeah,
where can I get 2 for 90?
Well, if you don't mind bullet wounds and C-section scars.
I don't.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Exactly. But you know what? It's all about the performance, not the aesthetics, Jimmy. Just gotta let you know that. But yeah, man, fuck that fight.
Some of them
all bullshit.
They can suck a golf ball through a garden hose.
Yeah, I mean, fuck that. I mean, I'm actually looking forward to next week's fight between AJ and Dubois. I think that's gonna be a banger. And there's something that's for $20, man. It's like when you're doing that across the board, man, you're trying to reach out to fans that are tired of paying like fucking $80, $90 for a fucking fight. It's only for the main event that you're in it for, and it turns out to be shit, and you feel like you've just been robbed. So I like what Turkey's doing. I'm not standing for him, but like, he's doing some right things for the sport, man.
No, you're right. You're right. And listen, with the hooker thing, yeah, you're right. You sound like a true prostitute connoisseur. It's not about the looks necessarily; it's about the performance. I like that. I like that one. Now, the one thing that I did want to say is you're right about because it reminds me of Crawford versus Spence. Neither guy was really that much of an attraction. The only edge Spence had was the pay-per-view thing, and yet both guys were asking for, I want 20 mil. I was like, who do you think you are, Canelo and AJ?
Right.
It's like, these guys are insane. So I blame them too. Well, no, not really, but I'll blame them anyway, just to make things interesting.
In terms of name recognition, the welterweight division is even worse shape. So to them to marinate this shit, I'm sorry. Get the fuck out of here. And Norman and the Normans, they're not going to find an opportunity like this again because Booth is going to move up eventually because that dude is big as shit. He can't stay up at 147 for long.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
He's a waste.
Right.
Yeah, man.
He's a waste.
All right.
Virtuoso, thank you for your call, man, and the call back next time, man. Take it easy out there.
No problem, man. Peace out.
Thank you.
Mr. VDA, it can't be understated, too. Like Canelo being involved in gimme fights, like throwaway fights like this, it's not good for the sport because, remember, he legitimately is the face of the sport. And this fight has soured. Like, you go online on Twitter and you just, see so many people. It's worse that they're not mad. They just don't care. Mm-hmm. Like, they just don't even care. Like, Hamanites, dude's done. Done with boxing, man. He was one of the most adamant fucking boxing guys out there, right? He tweeted out that he just doesn't care anymore. He hasn't even tweeted about boxing in a month. Like, I think he's not even, he just says, I just don't care anymore, dude. I'm done with the sport.
Yeah,
so, that's what the sport is doing to the hardcore guys. What do you think it's doing to casuals? What it's doing is not creating any.
Right. Can I just say,
always,
too,
you can't stop shooting itself in the fucking foot.
Right, but I think there's
going to be a star in the making once Berlanga's done with Canelo. You watch.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's... Recognize is hoping.
I'm going to be delusional recognized for the whole week. I'm going to see how this works out.
It's better than 70s recognized. That guy's too scary, man. Too intense for my liking. But one thing I will say
What you mean,
is,
Jack? You mean 70s recognized, Jack?
yeah, there you go. One thing I will
Better
say
watch your
is,
mouth.
it's easy to overlook the good things that have been going on. I mean, look, the two main things that have really, or three, I'm going to go with three, that have soured me with boxing is Canelo Benavidez not happening, Tank Davis not finding anyone of note, and this recent Jerron Ennis Norman thing. That being said, the last 2 years have been pretty good. I mean, we finally got Crawford Spence. We got Usyk Fury. I mean, come on. We're getting Bivol Beterbiev. Those are the three. After that, we're going to have to restructure.
Let me ask you something. I'm not trying to defend Canelo, but how long has the Benavidez? I'm not trying to defend him.
Right.
Has it been that long that we've been talking about Benavidez Canelo? How long?
We have because we knew who Benavidez was before.
But I'm saying, like, generally speaking, what, the last year and a half, maybe?
It's really just in 2022 when the discussion started, and 2023.
Okay, so 2022. Let's say 2 years.
Right,
bro. Listen, this is right on track for the fight when it does happen. You know what I'm saying? So, do I like it? Not really. You know, I don't really care for the just fight the fights, but there's nothing out of the ordinary that's happening with Canelo and Benavidez. I think, in my opinion. I do think, like, in all seriousness, I do think Berlanga is a bit of a cherry pick of a fight, and maybe he should be fighting Benavidez. But I just get the feeling that Benavidez fight's gonna happen. Like,
the thing is, people love to talk about that fight because it's one of those classic subjects that gets people going. Like, no, he ducked him. No, he didn't duck him. He ducked him. No, he ducked him. It's like, they just go on and on. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Let me read a super chat here real quick. Shout out to Rapax Trunking Company. Shout out to him for his contribution. He goes, a lot lizards. Yeah, that's what lot lizards. That's what Sobers was calling somebody on the line one time. A lot lizards. You gotta watch out for those lizards out there. They will, for the right price, they can perform, but then they might stab you in the ball sack if you're not careful. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 301. 301, you're on the air. 301, what's on your mind? 301, you're on the air. Going once. Going twice. I can't hear you, man. 301, you're on the air.
One.
All right. Call back next time, man. We'll still be on here for a little bit.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Well, be a little shy. I mean, you're amongst the all-time greats here from the YouTube boxing community. You got to be a little shy.
Since you put it that way, you're right. Yeah. I
know I'm right. But hey, listen, I wanted to say, apparently, like Sobers told us they had the grand arrivals today. Apparently, Caleb Plant, this dude, he can't stay out of trouble. Somebody calls him out, he's got to reply. Apparently, he got into it with somebody in the grand arrival. Check this out. I'm going to share it here on the screen here.
See this?
Caleb, welcome. Trevor's had said some words this week. He did mention that he thought you were a quitter. A pretty bold statement from him. How do you see Saturday panning out?
Panning out is and getting that WBA interim title put around my waist. And
oh wait, this is for a title? Jeez, I mean, which fight isn't for a title nowadays? Seems like every other fight's for a title. My goodness gracious.
He's been calling me a quitter. We see who's going to quit on Saturday.
We will see who's going to quit. Obviously, you know Canelo very well because you guys previously have gone head-to-head. How do you see the Canelo and Berlanga fight panning out this weekend?
I definitely see, Canelo getting his hand raised.
So you heard there a guy called him a bum, and he had to stop the interview.
Say what? Come up here and say that in my face. Yeah, come up here and say that in my face. See how that works out. I'll show you what a bum look like.
Now I gotta ask you guys: do you think if the interviewer would have been a male, especially a male Hispanic that like they usually have you think he would have been this abrasive and this combative, or he trying to impress this lady who's not bad looking at all? Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, I think no matter who interviewed, he would have. He's a very insecure dude.
Ah, come on. Insecure.
Oh, yeah. Well, he wants to fight everybody who gives him lip. He's been that way his whole. Remember, because he was a white kid in a gym full of black kids. So right off the rip, they made fun of him. So he's always had that thing. So I guess insecure isn't the real word. Just kind of got a chip on his shoulder, like he's ready to rock. I know he slapped Charlo in the face. Speaking of them fucking guys, I don't know if it's true, but when Charlo got fucking arrested for beating on his wife, didn't he get an interim belt for that too?
I don't know.
I thought the fucking WBA gave him a fucking smack-a-hoe interim belt.
Yeah, you know what? That would surprise me, Jimmy. Yeah, but that's a good one, man. It's fucking everybody gets a belt now. You show up to the press conference.
They give him a smack-a-hole intern, bro.
You show up to the press conference, they give you a belt. I mean, it's out of line here. It's insane. Let's go to a phone call here. Another one, probably the final one of the night. 805, you're on the air. 805. What's on your mind?
I'm back. You can't get rid of me that easy.
What's up, man?
What accent is that? What accent is that?
Yeah, that's a different accent. He's playing it up. He's Gary.
Yeah,
Oldman.
I'm trying. I heard that old man that had a toaster blow up in his face. What's his name? Laura's fighting. You were saying he was fighting dog, D-O-G.
What?
Yeah, D.O.D. Danny Oscar Garcia.
First of all, I think
we know that guy ain't with we.
You're confusing the Cubans, by the way. It's Regan does the one that had an appliance blow up in his face. This is Lara. He hasn't. I think the only thing he's gotten blown up in his face is maybe some of his fans. Well, whatever. I won't go there. But you know what I mean. Like that was Lara. That wasn't Regan.
Yeah, same shit.
I mean, yeah, that was Regan, not Lara. Whatever. Okay, so what are you saying then? So what are you saying?
Are you saying they're the same person?
I wouldn't be surprised if that old man retires fucking Garcia.
I'm with you on that one. I don't think Garcia's got an...
But,
first, yeah.
But they might just rob him, so there's that.
Yeah, well, they've robbed him a bunch of times. I mean, not robbed, but I mean, whenever there's a close fight, it usually doesn't go Lara's way. So you're absolutely right in your assessment of that fight. I can't wait, like Jimmy, I can't wait for that fight. I'm looking forward to it. That's the fight of that night for me.
Yeah.
I can't even say it with a straight face. What were you going to say?
Yeah, if it's a close fight, I'm going to give it to Garcia because I honestly thought he lost that Herrera fight.
Yeah, man. A long time ago, by the way, 10 years ago. Yeah, man. Anything else you want to say, Amok?
Yeah. I also want to say I agree with Recognize. I think they might make the fight maybe sooner than later because Berlanga has similar dimensions to what's his name, Benavides.
Mm-hmm. Now wait a minute. You got to call Berlanga. What name do you have for him? What special mocking name do you have for him?
Well, everybody calls him Bumlonga. So what is that?
No, Bernalgas.
Hey, who was it?
That's even better.
Was it LT who used to call him Verga Larga? Is he the one that came up with that one, Verga Larga?
Verga Larga? What the fuck?
Probably.
I think that was LT.
You know they're gonna call him after Saturday night?
I wouldn't call anybody that. What the hell?
They're gonna call him after Saturday night?
What's that?
And new, undisputed, super middleweight champion of the world.
Recognize he's living the dream, let me tell you. All right, well, listen, Amok, thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right, man?
All right, see you guys.
See you, man. Hopefully we can recognize you with the accent. Who knows which accent he's going to bring next. He's like Gary Oldman. He does a bunch of accents and you don't recognize him. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 646. 646, you're on the air. 646, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? It's Joe.
Oh, it's Joe, man. Where have you been, by the way? Did they fight?
Look who decided to join us. It's that guy.
Joe, I've been fucking busy. That's where I've been.
Yeah. Were you busy being interviewed by the Secret Service? Is that what happened?
No, I'm busy fucking downloading naked Bernard Hopkins pictures.
Come on. No, wait a minute. So we share the same
fuck
hobby.
Was that all about?
I mean,
the last thing I want to see on the screen.
I didn't put that
but
up.
But anyways, yeah.
By the way, hold on. I didn't put that up, by the way. I don't control that, just for the record.
Yeah, okay.
It's my producer.
Yeah, so you got fucking Plant fighting for the interim. WBA. WBA is a joke. It's the worst belt out of all of them. They got interim, they got junior, they got super. It's a fucking joke, dude. And the WBO has the Continental. The WBC is a fucking joke too. Like Jimmy said, they got the belt Smackaho. It's a joke. They got this other fucking belt now that they're putting out for this stupid Berlanga fight. I think Canelo knocks him out within 10 rounds because he's a slow starter.
If he doesn't,
I think he knocks his fucking bum out.
If he doesn't stop him, is that a bad look for Canelo?
Yeah.
Well, there you
go. Berlanga shouldn't even have this fight. Why should Berlanga even be fighting Canelo?
Well, that's a good. That's
he
a question.
Doesn't deserve it.
That's a question that everyone's asking, and all I have to say about that is that's the way things go nowadays. It's business, and I dare say if people
boxing is BDA, all it is now is cherry picking. That's all boxing is, cherry picking with bullshit judging.
Yeah, you know what? I agree to a certain extent, but you know what? If you don't like it, you have to take it. Otherwise, what I would say to people is this.
Toughen up! Toughen up! Toughen up! This isn't fucking ballet!
That's right. You got to toughen up, Joe. This ain't ballet, man. This is boxing. It's a business, too.
Well, whoever said that is a wise man. Whoever said that's a wise man.
I agree with that. Hey, Joe.
And he's a pretty intense guy, too. I wish I could match his intensity.
I thought you were going to say
he's wise.
I thought you were going to say he's handsome, too, on top of being wise. But listen, are you going to be
What's
watching?
What's up with you and handsome and fucking Bernard Hopkins naked pictures? What's up with you, bro? Come on.
Well, I'm just saying that's what you would have said because you were throwing flowers to yourself. I'm not calling you handsome.
Dude, a guy that intense and that wise, he has to be handsome.
There you go. That's what I said. But all of a sudden, it makes me a homer for saying it. But listen, I was going to ask you, are you going to be watching, which is taking place in about 40 minutes, the debate today between Trump and Kamala Harris?
Am I going to be watching it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, with popcorn. Fuck yeah, I'm going to be watching it. It's going to be comedic relief.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Harris is a fucking idiot. She's a fucking moron.
Oh, come on!
And I can't wait how stupid she sounds.
You don't like her laugh, JDA?
So far, we've had people that are anti-Boricua and misogynistic as well. We have a misogynist here on the air, Joe. Doesn't want to see a female president. It's got to be all guys. It's got to be a sausage fest in the White House.
All guys. Well, no, I want someone with experience that knows the fuck that they're doing. The last guy that this last idiot they voted in, he gets 81 million votes. He ran 4 fucking times. He couldn't even win a fucking primary. He gets 81 million votes. I knew the guy was senile in 2019. I couldn't believe people were voting for him. But the election was rigged. I said it on the BC. That I said it and recognized those. I said it. They were going to try to kill Trump, and it's going to be a fucking a lonely gunman, a fucking and they'll end up killing him. I said it. Recognized and quote me on it, and guess what? They're still going to go for him, and the way they're going to get him is they're going to do something to his plane.
You know they
don't want him in office.
I've heard of the lone gunman. I'd never heard of the lonely gunman, and I understand why he goes on a shooting spree because
the lone gunman. You know what the fuck I'm saying? Don't fuck with me, BDA.
I know it makes sense. No, it makes sense. Somebody would go on a shooting spree because he's lonely. I mean, it ain't easy being lonely. There's a loneliness epidemic going on in North America right now, and I completely understand what you're saying.
And bro, I don't know if you saw this, but someone came out and they studied the sounds of the shootings. There was 3 different guns used, so that means that there was 3 shooters, but that means there was 2 shooters going after Trump.
Interesting.
The last one was to take out the fucking the 20-year-old kid who doesn't have any social media, who ends up fucking making a 150-yard shot, a headshot. Get the fuck out of here, man. People are so fucking stupid. This country should be fucking. There should be a revolution right now.
They're actually saying he did have an encrypted site, which is all the more scary as fuck. But the fact that it's literally Trump moved his head at the last second. Because remember, when an AR-15, 150 yards, if you're even remotely competent with that rifle, that's fucking point blank. Like, that's point blank with that gun.
That was all staged.
Yeah,
Hold on, that was all staged, and World Trade Center 7 went down by itself, and the towers went down because they were hit.
Yeah, and the kid didn't even have a scope, man. He didn't even have a scope. You know what I mean? This kid does.
Yards.
All right. We're not gonna get into that here. I mean, come on, Joe. See what you
could use a red dot.
All right.
Joe, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, Berlanga's gonna get his ass. He's gonna get knocked the fuck out, and he's a fucking. What do you call a You know how we call them wiggers, right? What do you call Puerto Ricans?
Oh, that's a good point, man. That's a good question, man. Because there's a lot of Puerto Ricans that use the N-word. They do take a lot of like the hip hoppity culture. Recognize, what would you call it?
You know what they call us? They call us he's a Latin dingo.
Latin dingo, all right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Joe.
I mean, dude, I mean, come on, bro. That guy makes me sick. I can't wait till he gets knocked out. And his Instagram hoe leaves him. Where did you find it? What dumpster did you find that skank?
Ah, come on,
What are you
man.
talking
What's the
about?
matter with you?
He's a queen. He's a Puerto Rican queen. What are you
Yeah,
talking
Joe,
about? You
come
watch
on,
your
man.
mouth. You
Joe,
watch
you're-
your
you're-
mouth when you talk.
You're way out of line.
Okay.
You're way out of line, Joe.
Hey, guess what? She belongs on a farm. You know why? Because she's a pig.
Oh, come on. Oh, jeez, Louise.
I'm not
That's
gonna
it. We
take
gotta
this,
go.
man.
We gotta go. We
I'm
gotta
not
go.
taking this.
All right.
I'm not taking it.
Guys,
Love you guys.
All right, shout out to you, Joe. Take it easy, man. Holy
Love
shit.
the panel. Love all you
Fly
guys.
like an eagle, Joe.
Keep it up, BDA.
Shout out to you, Joe. Thank you, man. Thank you for the kind words, man. Well, at least towards us. Thank you, man. Take it easy out there.
All right, buddy.
She belongs on a farm because she's a Jeez, Louise.
Yeah, I don't like this. I need you to take care of this.
I mean, I'm trying to, man. You've seen
I don't
me
like
try.
it.
I've been 2.5 hours of me trying to keep everything under a lid here, but the pressure's on, man. What can I do? I can't fight it. Well, listen, we gotta go. We've said it all. We'll try to be back for more. I mean, listen, Box is back. Was that?
I said twice. We said it all twice.
Yeah, we said it all twice. Yeah, we're back and forth, man. So, yeah. I mean, listen, we got some boxing this Saturday. Then the next Saturday we got Joshua Dubois. It's a decent undercard as well. Not the best, but it's better. It's better than this Saturdays. I will say that. So we got that to look forward to. That's about it. Gotta go, fellas. Thank you for
The only
joining.
prediction I think that's interested, I wanted to say, was the number of pay-per-views this thing actually sells. I think it's going to be Canelo's first pay-per-view under 500,000 in
I
years.
think so too. I agree. Because even the Munguia one underperformed. So that one was seen as a more competitive fight. What's this one gonna do?
It's more competitive, yeah.
The
This
Puerto
thing is,
Ricans
I
are going
think,
to
is gonna
show
be
up,
a
man.
dog.
The Puerto Ricans are going to show up.
That's never a good thing, by the way. No offense, no offense. Recognize. No
Recognize
offense.
is going to buy it twice.
Hell yeah.
Recognize is already hooking the cable from the neighbors over to his house. He's already
getting the mofongo ready. He's turning on the stove right now.
Got my mofongo.
Yeah, he's about to get started already on that shit.
Don't they? Hey, well, hold on. Mexicans eat a lot of beans. Recognize? Do you guys eat the black beans or the brown beans, regular like Mexican beans?
We mainly like the red beans.
Exactly. Puerto Rico's like the red beans and rice.
Interesting. All right, gotta try those red beans. See what's up with that.
One of the best restaurants in Lowell, man, is a family restaurant in Puerto Rico. And these people right off the boat from Puerto Rico, and they started underneath the courthouse. Tiny little thing. Now they've opened up. Everybody goes to them. This woman can cook a fucking balls off. It's funny, man. A lot of times you go there and there's not a Puerto Rican to be found. It's all white people in there. But man, fuck, food's awesome. Her chicken's off the hook.
I understand.
You want to know why that is? You want to know why that is? Because most Puerto Ricans know how to cook that in their house. They're like, I'm not fucking going over there and paying for that. I could make that in my own house.
That's right.
She said, I talked to her, she said it was raised on a farm, but yeah, no, awesome cook, man. People can cook real Puerto Rican food, like island food. That shit's great.
Well, there you go. Shout out to Puerto Rico. And yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
That's why I married my wife, man. When I realized she could cook like that, old school style, I was like, hey,
there you go.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker right there, man. It would be the worst. What was that?
I was gonna ask, recognize, because I think I've eaten Dominican food, right? It's not very. They're salsas and spicy. Do Puerto Ricans eat spicy food? Do they like it spicy?
It's very similar. There's very similar food that we okay. So we, like for instance, we made from mofongo. They like it more.
Okay.
Right? they're more known for plátanos. We plátanos more.
Right.
So it's like kind of strange between us. Like there's certain things that they're known for, and we like it. They like it more, or we like it more than they do. Most Americans will tell you we like plátanos more than they do. They love mofongo more than Puerto Ricans do.
But I'm saying like the food traditionally, like the salsa, it's not spicy. Do y'all put like jalapenos in your food? Do y'all like spicy food?
No, it's more. It's not hot spicy. It's just spicy. Like it's like tazón.
Like jerked peppers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we like mojito. We like I'm trying to think. What else we like?
All right, this is turning into the CDA, the culinary debate arena, man.
So when you're roasting a chicken, how long do you let it?
There you go. What's the internal temper when you're doing?
You see, if you want to be precise, when you roast a chicken,
when you're doing,
you know what I just recently had, man? You know what I just recently had? A whole pig roasted. Oh, that shit is good.
The fuck? Like you're at a medieval fair, like a medieval fair or something?
Was the pig named Kamala?
Come on. Now, wait a minute. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. See what Joe, that's Joe's influence.
Joe.
That's Joe's influence on this
show. But I had it roasted to it was crispy. It was, oh man, it was fucking good.
Meat falls right off the bone. I like to be the first one to the pig so I can grab the back straps, the loin off the back. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You guys are making me hungry, by the way. So we gotta go. Shout out to you, fellas. Thank you for joining. The last time we had Dr. 805 too, he was making me hungry, man. And then he goes about that woman who was under eating, and he goes, "I told her, go right now to Domino's, buy yourself a large pizza." I'm thinking, fuck, man. Hey, I feel like getting a large pizza now, man. Maybe I have psychological issues. Maybe I should eat a whole bucket of fried chicken myself, man. I don't know. That's what I was thinking. But man, that was making me hungry. The way he kept talking about food. Meanwhile, my stomach's rumbling over here. So, yeah, we got to get back with Dr. 805, man. We got a bunch of questions from the audience that I received via communiques. So, got to get Dr. 805 back on the show. Shout out to you, fellas, in the meantime. Shout out to you, fellas, for joining us. I want to give a shout out to Chief, who was here earlier. Recognize, Sobers, Jimmy. Shout out to you, fellas. Thank you for being on. Everybody who called in, everybody who donated with the Super Chat feature. Shout out to you, fellas. And everybody in the chat. Talking about Rafael Garza, Epadokua, Buddy Lee, Baron Evola, Regiment Thomas, Frank Sinatra, Earl Stevens, Earl, shout out to Earl, who's one of the initiated, Earl, Buddy Lee, Adam Hurley, Quentin Lassiter, the Quags, another one of the initiated, Rafael Garza, another one of the initiated, shout out to him, and Parokua, Amok, Sean Anthony, King KO, Mars, Boxeo, okay, I can't read that name. If I forget anybody, it's because we got to go, fellas, and I'm getting hungry here. So shout out to you, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. We'll try to be back as soon as possible.